Provocation from the strong. 3. Sir Shi Tian, we have been waiting for you for a while. A grand emperor of a country, cupping his hands and stooping to greet her. Thus it can be seen that he cherished people with talent and ability. Behind him, the imperial family, aristocrats, civil and military officials saw the emperor salute. How could they not follow? One after another, they bend their back to salute. Yet the mysterious Shi Tiandaran only slightly nodded her head. Proud, indeed proud. The emperor didn't become angry. With a joyous appearance, he invites Sir Shi Tian to come in. His seat is bestowed next to the crown prince and Princess Yingyi. Huang Bei Yu let out a breath. Before she was worried that Dongling won't be able to act it out, now she can rest assured. After Dongling came in, Bei Yaro country's hostage prince, Feng Lianyi came in. 2 eunuchs in the front held the lantern. He wore a chong pao that is creamy white. The collar and the cuff are both embroidered with silver silk with clouds that represent power and good fortune. A cyan-colored broad brocade is tied around his waist. His jet-black hair was tied up. He wore a silver crown with precious jade embedded in it. The white cloud is just like a bright moon. In contrast, he is bright, clear, and handsome. He's gentle like a jade. The moment Huang Bei Yu saw him, she blinked. Isn't that the mysterious man that appeared in Princess Zhong Prefecture's ancestral hall? Even she couldn't detect this expert. But the him today feels different from the him from the other time. The man from that day is handsome but have an evil aura. His expression was full of killing intent, a very dangerous man. However, the him today is a modest nobleman, as gentle as a jade. It seems like the people who wear a mask isn't just Huang Bei Yu. When Feng Lianyi arrived, a few Nanyi country's nobility got up one after another to greet him. His relationships with others are pretty good. He smiled as he walked to the seat next to Prince Xiao Yarrow. The 2 elegant and extraordinary men smiled and both sat down. I thought you won't come. Prince Xiao Yarrow whispered. I heard the ice spirit beast appeared, how can I not come and see it? Feng Lianyi lightly laughed as his gaze looked over there. However, he didn't look at the mysterious Shi Tiandaran who is hidden underneath the cloak. Instead, a weak pair of purple eyes looks directly at Huang Bei Yu. In the midst of his eyes, there contains a shallow smiling expression. Huang Bei Yu also coldly looked at him. In between them is open space. In the middle of the brilliant light, the 2 people who wore invisible masks sized each other up. Silent, but in their eyes, there is a clear understanding of each other's meaning. Feng Lianyi, Princess Bei Yu, we meet again. Huang Bei Yu, mind your own business, then your life will be long. This is her absolute warning. She is not as naive as these nobility of Nanyi country, believing that he's actually a gentleman, elegant, graceful, an actual prince that's exiled from an enemy country. From the first time she met him, she knows that he's not someone who can be easily dealt with. It's just that at that time he didn't interfere with her business, so she didn't bother with him. If he dares provoke her, she won't be merciless. Feng Lianyi slightly raises his eyebrow. It's the same threat from last time. This cold and unfeeling person is truly interesting. Interest flashed within his eyes. However, he is still very sensible. He turned his gaze to the focus of everyone's attention, towards Shi Tian. The person hidden underneath the black cloak is exceptionally icy and arrogant, ignoring the eyes of everyone in the audience, completely uninvolved. The crown prince Zhongyi glanced at her. He knows that she has a proud and aloof temper, doesn't like to speak more than necessary, would only slightly nod her head to greet others. But Princess Yingyi humped and pouted, she said, pretending to be mysterious, still wearing the cloak in the palace. It's not like you can't show yourself. Provocation from the strong. 4. The gaze beneath the cloak seemed to glance at her, but she didn't speak. Huang Bei Yu looked at Dongling with satisfaction. That's right, just like that, just deal with it coldly. Congratulations to your majesty to have gained the help of an expert. Our Nanyi country will definitely rule the world in the future. Long live the emperor. Numerous government officials stood up to toast. The emperor was jubilant, raising the wine cup and drank it all in one mouthful. Then he made the palace maid fill it up again, turning his body to Dongling. Being able to get your help, We are deeply honored. This cup I will drink in respect for you. Dong Ling stood up, raising the wine cup up with a hand from under the cloak. Using a sleeve to cover her face, she drank it in one gulp. The group of officials immediately sent praises. Good. Shi Tiandaren has a good capacity for liquor. Just drinking one cup and she has a good capacity for liquor. These officials' ability to flatter other people were quite good. They repeated flattering comments continuously, making the expressions of the experts sitting on the other side very ugly. Xiao Qi Yuan stroked his beard and coldly humphed. The person next to him said, Venerable Xiao, I heard that you recently went cultivating in seclusion. Presumably, you have already reached the realm of an 8-star summoner. Why don't you go up and try this Shi Tian, test her skills? Xiao Qi Yuan was an old fox. How could he be tricked so easily? He immediately stroked his beard and laughed. This old man is already old, why argue with the younger generation? The power of this Shi Tian had spread throughout Linhuai City. With the Ice-Swan spirit bird, which was a super spirit beast, and the ability to kill a rank 11 red spider spirit beast in one shot, this kind of strength, he didn't dare go and look for trouble. Humph. Is Venerable Xiao afraid? That small child, her reputation has been spread around like a god, making you old foxes afraid. The other one had a ruddy complexion and was around 60 years old, yet he looked around his 30s. He coldly humphed. By mastering their summoning ability to a certain level, a person was able to maintain their youthful appearance forever. This man's appearance and age had such a huge disparity, one must know that he had almost reached 9-star high level. If Brother Sima has such confidence, then you can go up and try, Xiao Qi Yuan said happily. Non-conformity was punished. When he cultivated, he didn't only cultivate his skills, he also cultivated his mind. Sima Gui Yang was indeed one of Nanyi country's very best experts. His strength was only second to the Crown Prince's teacher. It was a pity that his character was too impulsive, unable to calm himself. Moreover, this person was particularly proud and arrogant. He believed that he was the best in the world, not putting a lot of experts in his eyes. This Shi Tian who came out of nowhere recently was very popular. Being in the limelight, even the emperor personally set up the feast just to win her over. How could Sima Gui Yang be happy with that? Humph. This old man will go and test her out. Sima Gui Yang picked up the wine jug, took a big sip, crudely wiped his mouth clean, smashed the jug and stood up. His action was aggressive, immediately drawing the attention of others. Even the emperor who was happy turned to look at him. What's the matter, Minister Sima? The emperor asked with a smile. Sima Gui Yang was one of his most capable experts. So it was only natural for him to treat an expert in an amicable manner. Although he would occasionally be disrespectful, the emperor could not be bothered about it. Nowadays, the strong were always right. Holding his two large hands in a fist, Sima Gui Yang walked up and roughly said, Your Majesty, today's palace banquet is a happy occasion. This minister wants to liven things up. Oh! Hearing that these arrogant summoners wanted to liven things up in the banquet, the emperor immediately beamed with joy. Minister Sima, how do you want to liven things up? Sima Gui Yang pointed his large hands at Dong Ling and said, I want to challenge her. Provocation from the strong. 5. Once those words came out, the entire Xia Guang hall became silent. Everyone's gaze turned towards Sima Gui Yang. This Sima Gui Yang liked to put himself in the limelight. As expected, he would challenge the newcomer, Shi Tiandaren. In the past few years, every time an expert appeared in Nanyi country, this Sima Gui Yang would always challenge them. His strength was strong enough, thus he basically never lost. People called him Nanyi country's undefeated general. While Huang Beiyu was in the Bujia market, she had heard of this person's name. Rumors had it that his strength would soon break through to 9 stars and enter the yellow stage. He would become Nanyi country's first yellow stage expert in 50 years. The brute force from his body was quite frightening. His element attribute was lightning and he had a rank 11 lightning attribute spirit beast, raging 7-tailed dragon. In Nanyi country, he was able to do whatever he desired. Although the raging 7-tailed dragon wasn't one of the 5 spirit beast, The dragon race had always been one of the strongest spirit beasts. Within Nanyi country, there were few spirit beasts that were able to stay arrogant and unyielding after seeing Crown Prince Zhong Yi's purple flame unicorn. But Gui Yang's raging seven-tailed dragon was one of them. Such a terrifying strength, she wasn't certain that she would win. But if it was Dongling, it was even harder to say. Huang Beiyu frowned. This Sima Gui Yang was sure hard to deal with. The emperor hesitated a little. In fact, he also really wanted to see the extent of Shi Tian's strength. However, it was slightly hard for him to do that because he hadn't grasped Shi Tian's personality. What if this Sima Gui Yang didn't know the severity of this and angered Shi Tian, leading to Shi Tian leaving Nanyi country because of that? Then wasn't that a big loss? What should he do? Everyone else had already begun to discuss in a low voice. Gui Yang Daren and Shi Tian Daren, it will definitely be an incomparably wonderful battle. Who exactly is a little stronger? Shi Tian Daren has the Icelwan spirit bird but Gui Yang Daren is about to enter the yellow stage. The raging seven-tailed dragon also isn't easy to deal with. TSK, tonight's trip has been worthwhile. Hearing the numerous discussions around him, the emperor understood that this challenge was unavoidable. Secretly in his heart, he thought that Sima Gui Yang was acting too willful. Since it was impossible to stop halfway, if he didn't agree, it would make Gui Yang unhappy. He is very important to Nanyi country. The Sima's challenge, The emperor stroked his beard, slowly looking towards Dongling. Does Sir Shi Tian accept? If Shi Tian refused, then Sima Gui Yang couldn't do anything about it. In the Cart mainland, if one side declared a challenge, and the other side didn't accept, the challenger couldn't use force. This was ancient law and no one had ever broken it. However, if the other party didn't accept the challenge, he or she would be a laughingstock. Under the black cloak, strangely tranquil, the mysterious Shi Tian Daren was cold and quiet. One didn't know if she would agree. In fact, no one saw that under the cloak, Dongling was tightly clutching her hands together. She was so nervous that she didn't know what to do. That is Nanyi country's most famous undefeated general, Sima Gui Yang. This kind of challenge, how could she dare accept? Wasn't that deliberately going up to throw away one's life? What should she do? Young miss, please quickly think of a solution. Dongling could now only hope that Huang Beiyu could quickly come up with a solution. Her strength was weak and she didn't have the blood of summoners. Her martial arts skill was also very ordinary. Provocation from the strong, 6. Letting her pretend that Shi Tian was able to do it was within her means. However, if she had to actually handle this, it would be impossible. At this time, most of the discussions turned into encouragement towards Shi Tian to accept the challenge. The major families that were present, including the royal family, wanted to see the Shi Tian's ability with their own eyes. Even Xiao Yarrow Wang shook his fan. To Feng Lian Yi, he said, "Yi, who do you think is more powerful?" Feng Lian Yi drank the wine in the cup. After hearing what was said, he faintly smiled. That is hard to say. When did you become so hesitant? How about we make a bet? If I win, then you will have to play 20 rounds of chess with me. How's that? There was a smile on Feng Lian Yi's face as he said, "What if I win? If you win, I will help you do one thing, anything. What do you think?" "Okay." Feng Lian Yi paused and said, "I bet on Shi Tian." Ha ha ha. Xiao Yarrow Wang laughed heartily. Folding his fan, "Okay, then I will bet on our Nanyi country's undefeated general, Sima Gui Yang." After they had set their bet, everyone else followed suit. Princess Yingyi clapped her hands excitedly. "Royal brother, who do you think will win?" Crown Prince Zhong Yi looked towards Shi Tian and said, "Sir Shi Tian hasn't accepted the challenge yet." With her cold and clear temperament, would she accept the challenge? Sima Gui Yang's strength was quite strong. Even his teacher had said that Sima Gui Yang wasn't someone to be trifled with. Even within the entire Cart continent, he was considered strong. He was somewhat worried for Shi Tian since Sima Gui Yang's raging seven-tailed dragon was very violent. Its combat style was ruthless and fierce. If she wasn't careful, the spirit beast might hurt her immensely. "Shi Tian, You don't have to accept this challenge, Zhongyi quietly said. Royal brother, if she doesn't accept, then she'll lose all her face. You also don't want Shi Tian to lose face, right? Everyone wants to see their combat. Yingyi hurriedly said that because she really wanted to see Shi Tian's true abilities. In order to raise her eager mood, Princess Yingyi unexpectedly pulled Huang Beiyu's hand and asked, Beiyu, do you want to watch? Huang Beiyu glanced at Dongling, the corner of her mouth quirked up. Of course I want to watch. I am very happy to see the combat between Sir Shi Tian and Sir Gui Yang. I believe it will be wonderful. Dongling's body was faintly shocked. What does young miss meant by saying this? Is it to tell her to accept the challenge? But how could she have the ability to battle with Sima Gui Yang? Even though Sir Gui Yang's dragon is very strong, Sir Shi Tian's ice wand spirit bird is one of the 5 spirit beasts. Huang Beiyu said, tilting her head. Don't be afraid, Dongling. Just go, I will take care of everything. Since she had dared to make Dongling pretend to be Shi Tian, she had already thought about the various circumstances that might arise, including countermeasures. She wasn't the type that was bold but not very astute, making decisions randomly. Hearing what she had just said, Dongling's heart calmed. She knew that young miss said that because she had a plan. She no longer hesitated and stood up. The long black cloak covered her whole body, grim and austere. Seeing her stand up, Sima Gui Yang's eyes lit up, laughing. Sir Shi Tian is a really straightforward person. The emperor smiled with satisfaction. Today's combat, good luck to you both. Since Shi Tian dared to accept the challenge, then it meant that she was living up to her reputation. These two people were both indispensable talents in Nanyi country. The emperor didn't want to see either side getting injured. Servants quickly came out to clean the open area, which was used for performances. Provocation from the strong. 7. Sima Gui Yang laughed loudly, slowly walking down the flight of stairs to reach the testing field. Dongling glanced at Huang Beiyu under her black cloak as Huang Beiyu curved her lips slightly into a smile. This expression allowed Dongling to rest assured as she began to walk calmly. Yang, you know what to do, right? In her heart, Huang Beiyu summoned Yang in the forbidden Blackwater prison. With a gasp, the nightmare's voice was filled with dark magic. Humph, if want me to help you then you have to agree with my previous condition. I will think about it. Think of it as me giving you a step, you better go quickly. Otherwise, if I have to go up there myself, I won't even consider it. Humph, sneaky little girl. Yang's nose was gasping heavily, then he slowly back away, blending into the darkness. Coming from the darkness, a low-pitched voice said, I need to borrow your black jade, inject all the vitality from your body into it. Huang Beiyu smiled lightly. With one hand holding the black jade tightly, she injected all her weak vitality from her body into it. The space inside the black jade expanded infinitely. When her vitality entered into the dark space of the black jade, it produced a large vortex. This large vortex rotated constantly, becoming bigger and bigger. Huang Beiyu's soul can clearly feel what was moving along the flow of energy and the vitality, flowing into the large whirlpool. The sound of Yang's laughs rang within her heart. I am so happy. So happy. All these years, finally I can breathe in fresh air. Huang Beiyu laughed coldly. What are you proud of? The seal is not broken. You will still have to come back. One moment of freedom is still freedom. Those who have not been imprisoned by the darkness won't understand how warm the light is. Yang's laughter inside her heart slowly diminished. No one besides Huang Beiyu saw the small black gas go under the Dongling's black cloak. In the testing field, Sima Gui Yang looked at the petite figure at the opposite side. With some arrogance, he said, later on when I hurt you, don't cry. A hoarse voice came from under the cloak, talk less nonsense. Ha ha ha. Sima Gui Yang loudly laughed and then he suddenly yelled, Raging Seven-Tailed Dragon, my friend, come out. Along with his voice, the peaceful sky suddenly flashed with thunder and lightning. A thunderbolt came over and flashed with a dazzling white light. A dragon surrounded by electric light emerged from the thunder. On the huge dragon's back were 2 small black wings. Its wings shook while thunder appeared every now and then. Different from the normal dragons, he had a total of 7 tails. Each one had dazzling lightning. Each tail looked like long whips that exploded with thunder when the dragon pumped them into the air. With an aggressive aura, the dragon flew down. When it reached the front of Sima Guiyang, Sima Guiyang flew onto the back of the violent seven-tailed dragon. He was the contract owner, so the thunder beams wouldn't be able to hurt him. Amazing, Dong Ling said in her mind while nervously holding her fists tight. I can't lose face for the young miss. Can't lose. A gust of coldness came from behind harshly. The giant ice swan spirit bird flew down from the sky, its body formed of ice and snow. When the wings of ice opened, gusts of harsh wind appeared. The proud ice spirit bird raised its head, its tail feathers sweeping across. They almost swept the violent seven-tailed dragon down. Provocation from the strong, 8, thunderbolts and ice collided in the air. Ice began to form and their sharp thorns penetrated the thunder, stinging its way towards the belly of the raging seven-tailed dragon. The raging seven-tailed dragon obviously wasn't easily dealt with. It turned its huge body and immediately made its way towards the sky. Dong Ling wasn't slow. Looking at the huge body of the ice swan spirit bird, she closed her eyes and rolled her body onto the bird. When she was young, Princess Zhong invited people over to teach her martial arts. She learned some self-defensive moves, too. That's why for all these years she could protect Huang Beiyu. The ice swan spirit bird's body emitted freezing air, so when her hands touched it, she was immediately wounded by the extreme cold. She clenched her jaw, holding in the pain, ice feathers flapping. The huge ice swan spirit bird skyrocketed upwards, chasing the raging seven-tailed dragon once again in the air. Okay. Princess Yingyi hollered, so excited that her face turned red. This really was an exciting test. Huang Beiyu had some worries in her heart, thinking about the first time she touched the ice swan spirit bird. When she first touched the ice swan spirit bird, her palm had froze from the frigid air. Obviously, Dong Ling wouldn't feel well either. This battle needed to end quickly. Yang, stop stalling and give him a lesson. Isn't this easy? Just a 9-star summoner and a rank 11 spirit beast. Just as the voice fell, Prince Zhongyi suddenly stood up. Everyone gasped in unison. Huang Beiyu looked up, just in time to see the hands of Sima Guiyang, who was on the raging seven-tailed dragon, quickly harden at an amazingly rapid speed. Worthy of being part of the generation of masters in the Nanyi country. A combination of a powerful master and spiritual beast was usually required to be able to exert this tremendous power. What about a spiritual beast without a powerful summoner? The same can't be said about them. Inescapable net. Go. Sima Guiyang screamed. He quickly waved his hardened hands. The raging seven-tailed dragon simultaneously sprinkled a flash of lightning, thunder, and light over one another, weaving them into a net. The huge light brightened up the dark night. 2 nets, one on top and one on bottom, enveloped the ice swan spirit's huge body within no time. Huang Beiyu's heart jumped. Of course, the power of a summoner and spiritual beast's cooperation formed a huge power. If it was just dealing with the raging seven-tailed dragon alone, the ice spirit bird would be able to easily smack it down from the sky. The sky was his field. However, with the addition of its summoner, that power was not the same anymore. The cooperation between a summoner and their spirit beast was nearly destined. This is Guiyang Daren's skill inescapable net. Princess Yinyi whispered quietly, so powerful. Worthy of being called the unbeaten general of Nanyi country. That Shi Tian is a bit too weak. She and the ice swan spirit bird had just recently made a contract. The experience of fighting together isn't that much, so how can she be Guiyang Daren's opponent? However, forcing Guiyang Daren to use the skill inescapable net so quickly to fight, it seems that Shi Tian Daren and the ice swan spirit bird are both very strong. Everyone began to murmur. Huang Beiyu coldly watched, lips sneering. Who won in the end? That was still to be determined. The icy smile on her lip, both cold and arrogant, fell into the eyes of Feng Lianyi. He had been paying attention to her, so when he saw that, he looked slightly shocked. Beautiful. How could he feel that a 12-year-old girl was so beautiful? So beautiful that she was touching and moving. Yi, it seems that you lost those 20 games, you can't run away from it. Provocation from the strong. 9. Xiao Yarrow Wang watched the scene in the air. Numerous lightning bolts flashed and the Iceland spirit bird screamed angrily. Feng Lianyi smiled faintly. That may not be. This smile, it meant he was bound to win. Xiao Yarrow Wang raised his eyebrows slightly. You have a lot of confidence with that Shi Tian. That Shi Tian hasn't done anything yet. Feng Lianyi watched with confidence. From the start to the end, only the Iceland spirit bird did the fighting. Shi Tian was on the back of the bird and did nothing. Xiao Yarrow Wang frowned, his folding fan clapped at his palm from time to time. Suddenly he said, not good, I have lost this time. His sentence had not finished yet, when the inescapable net that Simi Gui Yang had used lightning to create suddenly had black gas coming out of it in the sky. The black gas expanded at a rapid rate. In the blink of an eye, the flashing thunder was covered by the black gas. What? Sima Gui Yang said unbelievably, his face changing. The black gas slowly rose. Sima Gui Yang immediately yelled, retreat. The raging seven-tailed dragon also felt the strong pressure coming out of the black gas. The rank 11 spiritual beast's heart shook. Retreat, how easy could that be? From that powerful pressure, even the ability to move was loss. Sima Gui Yang's entire face turned pale. The people below didn't understand why Sima Gui Yang Daren's violent seven-tailed dragon stopped moving all of a sudden. Was it because they were bound to win? Only Sima Gui Yang's heart was clear on what was happening. He had probably met the strongest opponent in his life. The black gas spread and the lightning was swallowed by the gas, bit by bit. The inescapable net was broken in an instant. After that, the ice blade mixed with black gas suddenly surged out. Sima Gui Yang yelled no in his heart, his face ghastly pale. During the time of crisis, they could only fight using all the power in their body, driving the raging seven-tailed dragon to dodge to the side. Under the powerful pressure, the raging seven-tailed dragon had already lost all its power. Because it suddenly dodged, its huge body rolled a few laps in the sky before crashing down. Underneath it was Xia Guang Hall, where the guests were gathered. Everyone saw the raging seven-tailed dragon slammed into the thunder. Seeing this, the guests were frightened and fled. When ordinary people touched the thunder, they probably would have immediately burned into ashes. The speed at which the raging seven-tailed dragon was falling down was rapid and headed straight for the center seats designated for the people of Princess Zhong's prefecture. Huang Beiyu looked up and suddenly screamed in her heart, damn it! What in the world were they doing? The timid Xiao Ling and Xiao Ru immediately started to scream. Master, I'm coming to save you. The voice of the Iceland spirit bird shouted anxiously in her heart. Then the huge bird turned around in the sky, desperately throwing itself. The gust of wind from the wings of the bird blew the Xia Guan Hall into a huge mess. At the same moment, a cold voice exclaimed lowly, Yang, come out. Huang Beiyu helplessly looked around, getting ready to leave. She was very confident in her speed, but she had no time to act before a pair of strong arms grabbed her, immediately heading towards the sky. Sky Snowcat, come out. Xiao Yun also yelled, summoning her own ice-attributed beast. Miao Wu Tilda the white-haired cat suddenly appeared and the big tail swept back. He swept the Xiao family along with the others to the back. Then the cat slammed the raging seven-tailed dragon onto the ground. Provocation from the strong. 10. The enormous raging seven-tailed dragon heavily smashed to the ground. Sima Jia Yang was dizzy, his eyes dimming because of the fall. Standing up, he promptly restrained the thunder rays from the dragon's body to avoid injuring others. When the Iceland spirit bird dived down to save Huang Beiyu and saw that she was saved by Zhong Yi, it flapped its wings and took to the sky once again. The panic didn't bring about any casualties. After the shock, the emperor immediately opened his mouth to ask, Sima Qing, are you all right? His tone still carried quite a bit of shock. No one would have thought that Nanyi country's undefeated general, Sima Gui Yang, would unexpectedly lose so miserably. Even people with spirit beasts had been beaten down from the sky to the ground. Sima Gui Yang knelt on the ground, lowering his head, big beads of sweat dripped down from his forehead. This was all forced out because of the immense pressure from the black gas. This servant is fine. Sima Gui Yang shook his head with disappointment. After quite a while did he raised his head. He faced the person in the black cloak on the back of Iceland Spirit Bird and said, "I lost." The person under the black cloak didn't say anything, faintly waved her hand without saying a word. Confidently and at ease, she urged the Iceland Spirit Bird to leave. Sir Shi Tian, the emperor wanted to urge him to stay, but the speed of the Iceland Spirit Bird was fast. He just started talking when that white as snow shadow was already gone. The emperor couldn't help but be disappointed. Huang Bei Yu secretly worried that Dong Ling had left so fast was because of the extreme cold from the Iceland Spirit Bird's body harmed her. This time, Zhong Yi saved her, which was a big surprise to her. In her memories, Crown Prince Zhong Yi and Huang Bei Yu hardly had any close friendship. She didn't know that Zhong Yi had did it subconsciously. Seeing that her thin and weak silhouette was on the verge of being hit by the falling raging seven-tailed dragon, he didn't even hesitate to summon the purple fire unicorn in order to save her. Maybe it was because she was the only child that his royal aunt had left in this world. That was what Zhong Yi had said to himself to justify his action. But this action of his made many people in Xia Guang Hall raise their eyebrows in surprise. Xiao Ling was so angry that she stomped her foot the moment it happened. She was right next to Huang Bei Yu, however, the crown prince only saved Huang Bei Yu. He didn't see her at all. Xiao Yun also coldly humphed, her heart suddenly wished that the raging seven-tailed dragon had fallen down and smashed Huang Bei Yu to death. Why would the crown prince only save that waste? Only the crown prince himself would know the answer to that question. The purple fire unicorn landed on the ground. Zhong Yi quietly whispered, "I apologize." After that, he wrapped one hand around her waist. While holding her, they both jumped down. Only when they stood steadily on the ground did he let her go. A feeling of warmth flowed into her heart. Huang Bei Yu understood in her heart. Crown Prince Zhong Yi thought that she didn't know martial arts and that her body was weak. Therefore, he immediately summoned the purple fire unicorn to save her. It doesn't matter if this action stemmed from family love because of Princess Zhong or if he just simply sympathized with her. In her heart, towards this cold and handsome youngster he scored a perfect 100. The youngest 9-star summoner in the Cart continent, Nanyi country's respected crown prince. This youngster's strength, appearance, and his heart, she incomparably admired. After he set Huang Bei Yu down, he walked towards the emperor and empress without saying a word. Staring at his back, the corners of her lips curved up into a little smile. The crown prince only saved you because you were nearby, don't think too much into it, Xiao Yun said with a sour taste in her mouth. A fool, no one would sacrifice their lives in vain. Lingyang College, 1, Huang Bei Yu smiled slightly. Her eyes swept across Xiao Yun's face, which was beautiful but led her to hate it. The one who was rescued was me, why do you care so much? You, Xiao Yun was speechless. The Huang Bei Yu from before would never dare to speak to her in such a way. Now, this girl is becoming more and more arrogant. Her original intention was to teach Huang Bei Yu a lesson while everyone was in chaos. However, from her peripheral vision, she saw Xiao Yarrow Wang and Bei Yarrow country's 9th prince heading towards here. She hurriedly arranged her appearance and stood up straight. Holding the fluorescent ice feathers in her hand followed by the rank 4 spiritual beast, Sky Snowcat. The match between the person and the beast was very eye-catching. Some noble ladies stared at the pair enviously. Xiao Yun recalled concubine Shue's words. Xiao Yarrow Wang would help her because of Princess Zhong's face. Therefore, she quickly grasped Huang Bei Yu's hands and her language was soft. Third sister, did that scared you? Are you hurt anywhere? Huang Bei Yu had an arrogant personality, she doesn't like interacting with other people. When Xiao Yun suddenly grasped her hands, she immediately rejected her hands harshly, brushing her hands off. Due to the huge movement, Xiao Yun wasn't prepared and suddenly fell backward. If not for Xiao Yarrow Wang who was walking past coincidentally and held her, she would have fallen and made a fool out of herself in front of everyone. Huang Bei Yu's actions led everyone to gasp. No one ever knew that waste in Princess Zhong's prefecture was so fierce. Even if she didn't appreciate her sister's concern, no one expected her to push Xiao Yun. Xiao Yuan Cheng was holding in a stomach of unhappiness. He was afraid to release it on Huang Beiyu. Snatching the right opportunity, he angrily stated, "Beiyu, your sister was just asking how you were. What's that attitude right there?" Huang Beiyu, as usual, didn't care about what other people thought about her. Once hearing this, she coldly laughed. However, the sound was still soft and innocent like a girl. "I was almost crushed to death by the huge dragon. Father doesn't care yet when I just happened to push the second sister one time. Father is that angry?" Calling him father is due to the fact that Huang Beiyu and him are blood related. Plus there is a huge audience, he doesn't want to give her face. Very good. Then he better put his face away. This caused everyone to shift their attention away from Xiao Yun and instead focused on Xiao Yuan Cheng. Some people began to point around and discuss. Already heard from before that the days Princess Beiyu spent in Princess Zhong's prefecture was worse than a servant. That seems to be the case. The daughter that Xiao Yuan Cheng dislike is just this one. Once Princess Zhong had passed, she left a weak child with a father that doesn't love her. How heartbreaking. Xiao Yuan Cheng's face wasn't looking good. In the voices of discussion, he felt a bit guilty. It wasn't like he didn't know how Beiyu was treated. No, actually it should be restated as under his silent wish that everything was happening. He never looked at her as his daughter. He was so angry that his body shook. He was brainwashed and raised his hands, slapping her in front of the audience. Huang Beiyu looked up, one hand already raising, and caught Xiao Yuan Cheng's wrist. "Emperor's brother-in-law, this is the palace." The gentle voice of the young man sounded cold and thorough. Feng Lianyi's light purple eyes gently looked over Xiao Yuan Cheng, exposing the coldness in his eyes. Xiao Yuan Cheng was secretly scared. Bei Yarrow country's 9th prince was known for his broad knowledge, famous for his gentleness. Yet, suddenly his gaze felt like he was going to hell. Lingyang College, 2, Xiao Yuan Cheng deeply quivered. The quivering awakens his mind. Suddenly, lingering fear hit him. He realized that this is in the palace. If he really did hit Huang Beiyu and the emperor knows of it, then he will. Xiao Yuan Cheng was so scared that his legs had gone a little soft. He realized that being at home and being in the palace is different. Seeing that both his hands and legs had gone soft, Feng Lianyi let go of his hand. Stepping back, he smiled faintly at Huang Beiyu. "Princess Beiyu was probably startled before. Is that why she accidentally pushed the second young miss?" Huang Beiyu saw all his actions in her eyes. If it's anyone else, she would be grateful. But towards this Bei Yarrow country's 9th prince, she isn't able to feel any gratitude. If he didn't help her, Xiao Yuan Cheng still won't be able to hit her. Inside her heart, she understood that Feng Lianyi wanted to help her. He also especially gave her a path out. In today's situation, everyone's sympathy is already on her side. That Xiao Yuan Cheng is a brainless idiot. He shouted, made a ruckus, and wanted to hit her. She is the daughter of the main wife in Princess Zhong's prefecture. However, he has a father who doesn't care about her life and death. Instead, he yelled at her and hits her. This is what everyone had witnessed. If she admitted that she accidentally pushed Xiao Yun because she was too startled, then from now on, Princess Beiyu will receive sympathy from everyone from Nanyi country. If it had been the previous Huang Beiyu, she might have needed this kind of sympathy. But now it's her. She never needed any kind of sympathy. Seeing Feng Lianyi's pair of dreamlike light purple eyes, Huang Beiyu just coldly said, "I just don't like other people touching me." The tip of Feng Lianyi's eyebrows raised. The corner of his smile gradually deepened. Sure enough, she is a child with high self-esteem. Not allowing other people's sympathy and pity to trample on arrogance. This arrogant and cold little girl, she is becoming more and more interesting. When Xiao Yun heard Huang Beiyu say this, her heart immediately rejoiced. She is really a fool. In a situation like this, she really doesn't know how to take advantage of this opportunity. You deserve it. Your entire lifetime, you will be rubbish. Thinking, Xiao Yun pretended to look really wronged. Choking with sobs, she got up. Because Xiao Yarrow Wang had reached out to help her before so she didn't fall down. Due to this, She seized this opportunity to approach Xiao Yarrow Wang. She put on a face which is cute and helpless looking. Second little sister, no matter what, second older sister is very concerned about you. As long as you didn't get hurt, then I'm relieved. Huang Beiyu glanced at her, her mouth twitching. These two father and daughter pair, one is a brainless fool and the other one is an actor. When are they going to finish? Too lazy to care, she turned her body, wanting to leave. Behind her, a clear voice with a smiling expression sounded. You Xiao Yarrow Wang gently pushed Xiao Yun away. He originally only saved her because of good intentions. But it doesn't mean that he'll provide free hugs or allowed her to rely on him or even talk to him about her life. The folding fan in his hand opened. He didn't look at Xiao Yun, who was trying hard to squeeze tears out of her eyes. Instead, he walked towards Huang Beiyu. Is she familiar with him? Huang Beiyu turned around and looked at him. What advice comments does Xiao Yarrow Wang have? Advice? Xiao Yarrow Wang laughed. When you were little, your mother said that she would betroth you to me. However, when I came back from Shirong country, you became betrothed to that young fellow Shui. Oh, it made me feel deeply hurt. The corner of her mouth twitched. What kind of mess is this? In the memories, Huang Beiyu and Xiao Yarrow Wang didn't meet many times. When she was really young, Xiao Yarrow Wang began to travel the world. The only time he returned was at Princess Zhong's funeral. Lingyang College, 3. At that time Huang Beiyu was too young, also too timid and weak. She only knew how to cry. They didn't know what Xiao Yarrow Wang said to her. But one thing for sure, Huang Beiyu and him aren't close. The look on her face was always cold. To his teasing, there was no surprise, anger, or shyness that girls should have. Xiao Yarrow Wang couldn't help but be depressed. Is he that unappealing now? Your body isn't that strong, probably because of the lack of exercise from childhood. I think you have reached the age to go to school now. Do you want to go to Lingyang College? Lingyang College? This name was no stranger to Huang Beiyu. At Nanyi country, this can be said to be the most well-known school. All over the country, those with strength and ability, all could enter the college to study. The college had specially set up courses for summoners, warriors, refining pharmacists, illusionists, etc. Generally, as long as they pass the assessments, they are accepted by Lingyang College. The status of the Lingyang College in Nanyi country is right after the status of the royal family. It is above major families, and inside the college, there are numerous masters. It is a very important place in Nanyi country. Every year, the country will put a huge amount of money into the college. Therefore, every time when it's time for admissions assessments to be made, there will be students from all over the country coming to attend this. As long as they can enter Lingyang College, they most likely don't have to spend money and are able to get a very good career in the future. This is simply every young person's dream. What? Huang Beiyu is a waste. How is she able to get into Lingyang College? Xiao Ling, who stood at the side, started to yell and point at Huang Beiyu, not even disguising the hatred and disgust. How can that waste be qualified to go to Lingyang College? Only talented people can enter there. Xiao Yun and Xiao Zhongqi were both students there. This year, Xiao Zhonglei and Xiao Ru can also enter the college as warriors. It's just that Xiao Ling isn't able to enter because she doesn't even have the ability to become a warrior. She is around the same as Huang Beiyu. She thought that since Huang Beiyu is at the bottom, she wouldn't be counted as waste. However, even this waste is able to get into Lingyang College. Inside her heart, she doesn't feel good now. Ling Xiao Yuan Cheng sternly shouted, "Shut up." Before, Feng Lianyi had stopped him from making a mistake. Now, he's awake. Who is Xiao Yarrow Wang? He is one of the best pharmacists. His status, whichever country he walks to, is a noble existence. Offending him is worse than getting the emperor mad. Xiao Ling is impulsive, trying to question Xiao Yarrow Wang's decision. Does she not want her life? Father, what I'm saying is right, even I'm not qualified for Lingyang College. Xiao Ling was still mad, harshly glaring at Huang Beiyu. Qualification? The gentle Xiao Yarrow Wang suddenly spoke coldly. The smile on his handsome face turned gloomy. She isn't qualified. Do you think you are then? Who taught you to be rude and disrespectful? Xiao Yarrow Wang, please forgive us. Xiao Yuan Cheng's forehead suddenly dripped down sweat and his face was pale. He quickly pressed Xiao Ling's knees down. This little girl doesn't know what she is saying. It's me who hasn't taught her the well. Xiao Yuan Cheng was a Fu Ma. His official position in the military was a Du Wei. In front of Xiao Yarrow Wang, his status is smaller than his. Xiao Fu Ma knows the way to teach your daughter Ah. Xiao Yarrow Wang purposefully spoke slowly and sarcastically. Lingyang College, 4. Xiao Yuan Cheng's forehead was filled with sweat. In his heart, he wanted to strangle his useless and ignorant daughter, Xiao Ling, to death. Stupid girl. She only knows how to cause him trouble. Xiao Ling still had no idea how she was wrong. Huang Beiyu was the waste, but why is it all of a sudden that everyone began to take her side? First, it was concubine Shui and Xiao Yun. Okay, fine. Just now His Royal Highness saved her, and Nanyi country's 9th prince as well. Even Xiao Yarrow Wang is taking her side. How come a waste has such good luck? Xiao Ling clenched her teeth harshly. She can't swallow down this breath. In Xiao Yarrow Wang's heart, he was very angry. All these years he had been traveling and haven't returned. Occasionally he heard about the events in Princess Zhong's prefecture and knew that Huang Beiyu is a weak and sick child. He thought that even if Huang Beiyu was gentle and couldn't practice martial arts, due to her status she would be able to live a carefree life. However, today after returning to Nanyi country, he had gradually heard about the news that Xiao Yuan Cheng's many concubines were very overbearing. Even the concubines' daughters would run rampant. In this type of home, how was Beiyu's life like? He thought that during today's palace banquet, he might be able to see the child that he used to worry about. Just a while ago he saw that she was sick, but her eyes were determined and her expression strong. Due to that, he felt a little better. But right now Xiao Ling dared to humiliate her in front of an audience and called a waste. How could he not be angry? So she actually hasn't been living well? So he's the one who thought that everything was too simple. Before he promised Princess Zhong to take care of her child, but all these years he left the child among a group of monsters. Looking towards Huang Beiyu, his eyes were pained. Due to the movement, it also brought the Emperor and the Empress's attention over here. The Emperor, accompanied with Princess Ying Yi and His Royal Highness, made their way here. What happened? The Emperor walked closer, looking at Xiao Yuan Cheng, who pushed his daughter to kneel on the ground. His expression shocked. Your Majesty, it's this minister that hasn't taught his daughter well that she would talk against Xiao Yarrow Wang. Xiao Yuan Cheng hurriedly explained. He was mumbling to himself in his heart that he was quite unlucky today. If he knew what would have happened, he would never have brought Xiao Ling here. Not only did he offend Xiao Yarrow Wang, even the Emperor is unhappy. Originally the Emperor was already unhappy with Xiao Yuan Cheng, who was only a warrior. Now he dared to offend Xiao Yarrow Wang, the one person he respected the most. Immediately, he became upset. Xiao Yarrow Wang didn't continue to pursue. Instead, he opened his folded fan and restored the elegant smile. It's not a big deal. Shocking the Emperor is this minister's wrong. The Emperor also smiled, Xiao Yarrow Wang's free and easy temperament. Don't bother with little matters. You won't lower himself to argue with a child. The Emperor is right. Xiao Yarrow Wang looked at Huang Beiyu and smiled. This minister has one offer that wishes the Emperor will accept. Just go ahead and say, Xiao Yarrow Wang. The Emperor exclaimed. Xiao Yarrow Wang usually was indifferent to fame and fortune. He wanted to live a carefree life and therefore, this was the first time he seeks the Emperor. Obviously, the Emperor will accept his offer. Xiao Yarrow Wang replied in monotone. A few days later the Lingyang College will begin the admissions assessment. This minister wants to recommend someone. This is easy, this Emperor approves. Just don't know whether this person knows martial arts or... The Emperor hears and is a bit happy. The people that Xiao Yarrow Wang recommend either have a strong strength or big background. Letting them into Lingyang College, For Nanyi country there will only be benefits, not harms. Xiao Yarrow Wang slightly furrowed his eyebrows, smiling. She's just a normal person. Lingyang College, 5. The emperor was stumped for words for a second. No wonder Xiao Yarrow Wang came to ask him. Placing a person in Lingyang College isn't a trivial matter. In the college, there is a part of the college which is made for the royal family and daughters and sons of nobility. It specialized in teaching poetry, etiquette, military strategies, tactics, riding, and shooting. Arrange her to go to the there. Many thanks to the emperor. A beautiful smile spread across his face. The emperor smiled. I don't know which daughter or son of which family Xiao Yarrow Wang is recommending. Xiao Yarrow Wang smiled, said, this person, the emperor certainly knows. After he finished talking, he turned his head. He looked at Huang Beiyu with a smile on his face. Beiyu, come quickly to pay your respect to the emperor. Huang Beiyu lifted her head and glanced at him. Regarding this person who excessively enthusiastic about her, she really doesn't know whether to laugh or cry. Going to Lingyang College, he didn't even ask if she agreed. But in fact, she is curious about Lingyang College. She heard that inside the college, it gathered the entire Nanyi country's experts. There are teachers of powerful ranks as well as countless precious secret books and treasures. To the present her, improving her strength is too important. She is even more in a hurry to unlock the secrets of the Black Jade. She really needs a place with ancient information so she can look for information about the Black Jade. Since that person and the Black Jade are related to each other, then, in this era, there must be information regarding that person and the Black Jade. Going to Lingyang College is the best method. Inside the famous Seven Towers numerous ancient records are hidden. She already wanted to check it out before this, but experts in Lingyang College heavily guarded the place. It would be difficult for her to go in and out undetected. If she can become one of their students, then it would be the best. All thanks to Xiao Yarrow Wang that she can go in so smoothly. So when Xiao Yarrow Wang asked her to thank the emperor, she didn't try to evade it. She confidently walked over. Beiyu, when the emperor heard this name, the smile on his face disappeared for a split second. The emotion on his face showed that he was excited to see Huang Beiyu who was walking slowly towards him. His usual brilliance and prestige suddenly become somewhat haggard and old. Huang Beiyu blinked for a second and the emperor already strode over to her. Both of his hand grabbed her shoulder. Excitedly he said, "You are Beiyu." She nodded her head. Princess Zhong and the emperor is born from the same mother. Princess Zhong is the emperor's blood-related older sister, so he's her uncle. She faintly remembered that when she was little, the emperor was very good to her. He doted on her a lot. Once she was born, he bestowed the title, Princess Beiyu to her. Furthermore, he also gave her the populous and affluent Qinghe region's land, wanting to give her a life without worries. But after Princess Zhong died, she had entered the palace less. After that, the doctor diagnosed that her illness is contagious. Hence, Huang Beiyu was confined to Princess Zhong's prefecture. Every year, the emperor would give her generous rewards. However, it was always secretly divided among concubine Shui and concubine Qin. Because there are many memories, Huang Beiyu's impression of the emperor is very good. The emperor looked at her thin and sickly body. Suddenly he became furious. He turned around. With on foot he kicked over Xiao Yuancheng who was kneeling on the floor. Shameful thing. The emperor furiously pointed at Xiao Yuancheng. What did you say to me? Every time I asked how Beiyu was, you answered by saying that she is very good. I asked you to bring her to the palace so I can see. You said she doesn't want to come to the palace. Good. I told you to take good care of her. And how did you do? Due to the emperor's anger, the civil and military officers in Xia Guang Hall all immediately kneeled down. All together shouted, "Emperor, please quell your anger." Lingyang College, 6, Xiao Yuancheng rolled onto the floor. When he got up, he was shuddering from head to foot. Replying to your majesty, Bi Beiyu, since little she has a weak body. I have invited famous doctors and they were all unable to do anything about it. I have failed to live up to the emperor's expectations. I am guilty. The sweat on his forehead dripped down from his face as if it's raining. The people from the Xiao family were all kneeling on the ground, each and every one of them anxious. You still dare deceive me. If you had taken good care of Beiyu, how can she be so thin? The emperor shouted loudly. The empress was behind him, trying to use a soft voice to calm him. However, she was pushed away by the emperor. This was the first time that Princess Yingyi saw her father emperor this angry. So she could only hide behind Zhongyi, anxiously looking at the scene unfold. Xiao Yuancheng's mind trembled so much that he was completely speechless. He specifically ordered concubine Shui to send the best silk gauze, jewelry, and head ornaments to give to Huang Beiyu. He wanted to let her dress herself up seeming as if she didn't lose her status. Then he could let her enter the palace without causing trouble. But he would have never thought that the emperor's care and concern towards Huang Beiyu were unexpectedly down to the smallest detail. Seeing her pale and thin face, which differed from what he had told the emperor, Princess Beiyu is well. If everything is well, then how would she become so thin? Then why would her face be so pale? To deceive the monarch is a big crime. He could never forget the time when Princess Zhong was alive. This child was favored by the emperor. It's not an exaggeration if he says that the emperor considers Princess Beiyu like a treasure. If the emperor found out what kind of life she had lived these past years, then the entire Xiao family would probably be executed unto the third generation. He originally intended that since Huang Beiyu's body is weak, she wouldn't be able to live long. When the moment comes, all his problems will be solved. How can there be so many problems now? However, he is out of his wits right now. He just wanted to calm the emperor's fury. When he thought about executing his entire Xiao family, his entire body won't stop shaking. Xiao Yun has a sharp mind. Seeing this situation, she knew that this time it's big trouble. Immediately she walked up while kneeling, said, replying to the emperor, "Father is really good towards Princess Beiyu. Princess's body was weak since she was young. The doctors are also helpless. Father tells the kitchen every day to make a tonic for the princess, but the princess's body isn't able to absorb the nutrients. Unexpectedly it became worse. The doctor said that the princess might not be able to withstand the tonic. That's why she stopped. However, father was still worried. He would let my mother make the medicine for her to drink every day. This little girl doesn't dare to lie. Princess, please help father say something. Blood is thicker than water and you're so filial. You definitely don't want to see father feel apprehensive, right? This Xiao Yun really knows how to talk." Some of her words were helping Xiao Yuancheng lie while at the same time making Huang Beiyu have nothing to say. Indeed, the doctor said that her body can't withstand the tonic and nutrients. Concubine Shui actually does send medicine to her every day. Father and daughter affection. Blood is thicker than water. These words are so pleasant to hear. It made Huang Beiyu cannot help but be moved after hearing that. Such a loving and caring father, how can she allow him to feel apprehensive, right? The emperor looked at her lovingly, said, "Beiyu, you tell me the truth. Is Xiao Yuancheng good to you? With me here, you don't have to be afraid of anything. If he dared to not be good to you, I will immediately execute him." Hearing these words, Xiao Yuancheng immediately trembled for a moment. Cold sweat covered his body. He couldn't even kneel properly. His whole body was about to go limp on the ground. His heart only thought that it's all over, that this time he's done for. The emperor wanted her to say how well she had lived in the prefecture all these years. If she says everything, then today will be the day that their Xiao family will be completely executed. Lingyang College, 7. Xiao Yun's beautiful face became completely pale. At this time, Huang Beiyu's one sentence decided their fate. She never thought at any moment that this waste would be so useful. And never at any moment did she regret something so much. If she knew, all these years she would have been nicer to her. That way she wouldn't have to live in fear right now. Xiao Yarrow Wang also looked at Huang Beiyu. Just a few words from Xiao Yun, he vaguely understood the days that she had been through. Now he should be happy since the emperor will bring her justice. From now on, he'll feel less guilty. Feng Lianyi looked at Huang Beiyu's cold face and slightly smiled. He had a feeling that this arrogant girl would not accept someone's help so easily. Huang Beiyu peacefully looked at the Xiao family that is kneeling on the ground. In her heart, she felt sour. If the real Huang Beiyu was here, perhaps everyone wouldn't have to go through so much anymore. She needed to hold on a couple more days, just a couple more days. After that, she could live a calm and carefree life. However, she wasn't able to hold on. Just a couple of days earlier, because of the people from the Xiao family, she was forced to die alone in front of Princess Zhong's grave. Looking at their trembling bodies, she felt happy for Huang Beiyu. But in her heart, she was angry. She won't easily forgive these people. Of course. Her lips tilted up and she showed a soft smile. Father and sister, brothers and concubines, were all very nice to me. When Xiao Yuancheng heard her open her mouth, he thought that she was going to complain. He almost fainted, but when he heard the words behind her, he was shocked. He looked up at her incredulously. Huang Beiyu looked at him and smiled faintly. Her smile contained a tint of unpredictableness which led Xiao Yuancheng to shiver. Xiao Yarrow Wang frowned and couldn't help but to say, "Beiyu, you don't need to be afraid." "I'm not afraid. They actually are very nice to me." The sound of Huang Beiyu's voice was crisp and clear. There was no trace of lying. The heart of Xiao Yarrow Wang sunk. Did he guess wrong? He faintly felt that the situation wasn't that simple and wanted to continue to speak. However, that was stopped when Feng Lianyi pulled on his sleeves. He turned around to see his friend smile and shook his head. "She knows what she is doing, believe in her." Xiao Yarrow Wang felt a bit strange. It seemed as though Yi understood Beiyu a lot. Since Feng Lianyi had said so, he decided to keep quiet and watch the events unfold. The emperor's angry face was slightly relieved, but still with a trace of doubt. "Then how come all these years, you haven't come to the palace?" There was a touch of melancholy in Huang Beiyu's eyes and she lowered her head. "There were too many memories of my mother in the palace. Every time I thought about my mother, I always felt sad. As a result, I dared not to enter the palace. Letting the emperor worry is Yu's mistake. So that's why," the emperor muttered. "Royal sister's death, even I can't believe it. Even until today I can't believe it." Seeing that the emperor's anger had diminished, the group of ministers had all sighed. Everyone can't help but look at Huang Beiyu in admiration. Originally they thought that after Princess Zhong had passed, an orphaned girl would have no one to rely on. Thus, she would become waste. However, no one knew that the emperor is still so concerned about her. Looks like that Princess Beiyu is an important figure. The empress re-examined Huang Beiyu and her mind was thinking. Lingyang College, 8, sponsor, Erica Pascal, love, the nightmare from 4 years ago seemed to have begun once more. Your Majesty, it's getting late and Princess Beiyu has a weak body. Why not let her go back and rest? The Empress walked up and softly exclaimed. Under the elegant makeup, no one saw how pale her face was. Yes, it's getting late. But I don't want Beiyu to go back alone. The Emperor raised his head and looked around in a circle, his gaze landed on the Crown Prince. Zhongyi, Emperor. Xiao Yarrow Wang suddenly voiced his opinion, stopping the Emperor from this foolish decision. How can he let the Crown Prince take Princess Beiyu back? If the Crown Prince actually did so, who knows how many people are going to talk behind Princess Beiyu's back about this? They would say that she isn't worthy of respect. In the Empress and Crown Prince's heart, they wouldn't be happy with Huang Beiyu. He didn't want her at such a young age to offend all these important figures already. Well, this minister is planning to leave the palace right now. How about letting this minister protect Princess Beiyu on the journey back home? The Emperor also realized that making the Crown Prince do so wasn't the best decision. Since Xiao Yarrow Wang offered, the Emperor granted him permission. Huang Beiyu thanked the Emperor and sighed in her heart. The Emperor's action almost scared her. But then again, it was probably because they are related by blood. The impression that the Emperor gave her was pretty good. From her childhood memories, she could see that the Emperor really loves Huang Beiyu. To these types of people, she will do her best to repay them back. After leaving the palace, it was the same as when they had come here. She was in the same horse carriage as Xiao Yun. However, this time Xiao Yun didn't seem to be as arrogant anymore and didn't brag to her about this or about that. The atmosphere within the horse carriage was very quiet. Huang Beiyu closed her eyes to rest. Xiao Yun looked at her and in her heart, she wanted to kill her so badly. When she thought about how angry the emperor was, she halted that thought. Third sister, did you sleep? Xiao Yun probed. Today she didn't complain to the emperor. This led Xiao Yun to be very confused. Is she that dumb? It didn't seem so. The Huang Beiyu now didn't look like the weak and stupid girl. There was a feeling of uneasiness in her heart, but she couldn't explain the cause of it. No. Huang Beiyu bluntly replied, not opening her eyes. After today's events, she also knew that Xiao Yun not only inherited the bloodline of Xiao Yuan Cheng's father's summoning skills, but also his cleverness. What she said today led Huang Beiyu to see her in another light. She would never have thought how detailed Xiao Yun's mind was. She's the type to not act carelessly during times of danger. Xiao Zhongqi during that time most likely would have been scared to the same extent as Xiao Yuan Cheng. Xiao Ling, of course, was even more terrified. Xiao Yun forced a smile, saying, after a couple days, you're going to begin school at Yingyang College. Even though you don't need to take the admissions test to get into the school, you should still buy some school materials. I will let my mom bring you some. She is obviously trying to please Huang Beiyu in order to let Xiao Yarrow Wang help her refine marrow cleansing pill and also because the emperor's anger had scared her. Okay. Huang Beiyu didn't refuse. They're using her money, so why not? She agreed, but that doesn't mean she owed them anything. That also doesn't mean she will help Xiao Yun. Seeing that she accepted, Xiao Yun felt a little better. It looked like Huang Beiyu is really grateful that Xiao Yun's mother sent her medicine every day. In the entire Princess Zhong's prefecture, only Xiao Yun's mother was slightly nicer to her. It would be weird if Huang Beiyu isn't grateful to her. Thinking up to here, Xiao Yun's doubts diminished. Lingyang College, 9, sponsor, Erica Pascal, love. The horse carriage stopped in front of Princess Zhong's prefecture. The people outside the door immediately came to hold the horses and opened the curtains. Huang Beiyu walked down first. The people in Princess Zhong's prefecture didn't know what happened during today's palace banquet. They still thought that Huang Beiyu is a waste. One of Xiao Yun's maid coldly exclaimed, "Why are you stalling? Hurry up. Are you trying to let young miss wait for you?" Huang Beiyu raised her head to look at her. Before she could speak, a whip slammed over and the maid was immediately thrown out. Half her face was bloody. Xiao Yuan Cheng angrily shouted, "You have no eyes. Is this the way to talk to the princess?" What just happened had led the maids who usually bully Huang Beiyu on a daily basis to be terrified. They were stunned. Xiao Yarrow Wang stood by the side and witnessed everything. Xiao Yuan Cheng didn't have the guts to order Huang Beiyu around like a servant anymore. He immediately ordered, "Help the princess down the carriage." Pei Xiong, who came out to pick up Xiao Ru, witnessed everything. She wisely walked up and politely helped Huang Beiyu down the carriage. "Princess, be careful beneath your feet." Xiao Yuan Cheng saw this sensible maid and his face was slightly relieved. He quickly got off the horse and respectfully said to Xiao Yarrow Wang, "Thank you, Wang Yi, for sending us back." Xiao Yarrow Wang looked at him for a second and got off the horse as well. He pulled Huang Beiyu to one side and said in a low voice, Is there something preventing you from speaking the truth? Tell me. I won't let anyone hurt you." Huang Beiyu's heart began to warm up. In her past life as a killer, she had already forgotten what warmth was like. Being in Jianghu for so many years, only Master had given her warmth. Other than Master, there was only a woman called En who let her felt carefree. People like her are fated to darkness, loneliness, and to killers. She thought that was the case before as well. However, when she came here, she met all sorts of people. They gave her warmth, care, and trust. She raised her head and smiled faintly at Xiao Yarrow Wang. "Wang Yi, look at my eyes. Look at it carefully. Look inside. I'm being absolutely serious. I can lie to other people, but I will never lie to myself." A firm voice echoed. There was a faint smile on her lips and Huang Beiyu stood up straight. The cold and proud temperament radiated from her which led people to believe in her. Believe her. I can lie to other people, but I will never lie to myself. Such a brave statement, it's not something a weak child is able to say so easily. Xiao Yarrow Wang suddenly felt assured. You make me feel surprised. But you are still young. There are some things you might not be able to solve. Come find me whenever you need to. I promised your mother that I will take care of you. Rest assured. If there's something I can't solve, you probably can't either. Huang Bei Yu smiled confidently. She is someone who doesn't like owing people something, and she also doesn't like to beg. The biggest taboo for people like her is to become dependent on someone. Being dependent on someone can be deadly. Even though her soul was trembling, her heart is calm. The sword in her hand will never tremble. Xiao Yarrow Wang raised his face and grinned at her. Although he didn't speak, Huang Bei Yu could still see clearly. In his eyes, there's a light called trust. Looking behind him, there was another horse carriage. It was Feng Lianyi who opened the carriage's curtains and stared over here. In the purple eyes, there was a little smile. Lingyang College, 10, Huang Bei Yu's eyebrows wrinkled. She thought about Feng Lianyi who appeared in Princess Zhong's prefecture. That person is not simple. She doesn't know how well Xiao Yarrow Wang actually knows about him. However, since Xiao Yarrow Wang showed such concerns for her, it seemed that she needs to remind him. Wang Yi, that Feng Lianyi isn't simple. It's best if you be careful. After she finished whispering, she walked past Xiao Yarrow Wang and into Princess Zhong's prefecture, the view of her back cold. Xiao Yarrow Wang stared blankly, then he shook his fan while he slowly began to laugh. Is she actually concerned about him? After Huang Bei Yu returned Flowing Cloud's pavilion, Xiao Yuan Cheng immediately sent people over, saying that Flowing Cloud's pavilion is too desolated. If her health is better, then she can move to the Rongyu pavilion so that they can look after her. She is presently worried about Dongling's injuries. How would she have time to deal with those people? With a severe expression on, she quickly made them leave. She promptly returned to the room to take a look at Dongling. Dongling was on the bed, lying on her stomach as if she's dying. She tried her best to hide so that people won't find out. When she had returned, she had immediately taken off her black cloak and hid it. Right now, she is wearing white clothes. The blood bled out, dyeing her clothes red. Huang Bei Yu quickly took out the jadeite liquid that the Crown Prince had given her last time, applying it to her body. Dongling slowly opened her eyes, weakly said, I'm sorry young miss, I really couldn't endure it anymore. So I could only come home. You did very well. With you here, I am very assured. Enduring the pain, she got up, extremely moved. It's a pity that we couldn't dispose of Xiao Yun today. Otherwise, I will slowly take care of her. You just rest and take care of your injuries. Huang Bei Yu comforted her. The Emperor has allowed me to enter Lingyang College. When the time comes, I will go ask him to let you in too. She remembered that when they were little, Dongling had some martial arts talent. At that time Princess Zhong had invited teachers to teach Dongling specially. Later, when Princess Zhong had died, no one invited the teachers again. Living in this era, without a little bit of ability, it would be difficult to survive. Really? Is it really possible? Dongling incredulously widened her eyes. Lingyang College, countless people will do anything to just get in. Every year, the eldest miss, Xiao Ling, would go beg the Lord. However, she had no way to pass the assessment, so there is no way for her to get in. She's a bit puzzled. Does young miss want to take the assessment too? Seeming as if she had read Dongling's worries, Huang Bei Yu laughed. I am going to the Imperial College, I don't need to take the assessment. It's good that you're going to the Imperial College. Princess Yingyi and the Crown Prince are also at the Imperial College studying. I saw today that Princess Yingyi and the Crown Prince treated young miss quite well. They are indeed pretty good. Princess Yingyi is straightforward and sincere. Crown Prince Zhon Yi seemed cold and distant, but he is really gentle. But even if young miss goes to Lingyang College, you still have to be careful, Dongling said worriedly. Inside the school, there are many students who are exceptional experts. If the young miss doesn't want to expose her identity, it's best if you keep your distance from them. I understand. However, I might have no choice. Xiao Zhongqi and Xiao Yun, as well as Xue Che, are all at Lingyang College. She doesn't believe that they won't come and provoke her. But even if soldiers came, she will resist. When had she, Huang Beiyu, ever afraid of anything? By Shui Courtyard. What happened today in the palace? Concubine Xue already heard everything from Xiao Yun. Ever since Xiao Yuancheng had returned from the palace, he had lost her temper. No one had any idea how many things he had thrown in the room. No one dared to go up to calm him down. After his temper had finally calmed down, only then did concubine Xue go up and said, "Lord, please calm down. Don't hurt your health because of that little girl." Martial arts competition on the stage. 1. Heng. Xiao Yuancheng snorted as his face distorted. For so many years, I underestimated her. Thinking about the recent events such as Huang Beiyu's conduct and deeds, Xiao Yuancheng finally realized. He realized that his daughter is different from the past. In the past, no matter if she's yelled at or beaten, she wouldn't dare to say anything. Now, every time he opened his mouth to say something, she'll embarrass him. She even made him almost lose the life of the whole family. Concubine quickly said, "Lord, you're thinking too much. No matter how powerful she is still only a 12-years-old little girl. What big billow can she stir up? She indeed can't stir up a big billow, but the people behind her can. Never mind the emperor and the empress dowager. I don't know why, today, even Xiao Yarrow Wang is protecting her. In the past, Xiao Yarrow Wang and Princess Zhong had a friendship. Probably because of this that he's protecting that little girl." Talking about Xiao Yarrow Wang, a golden light flashed in concubine Xue's eyes. If Xiao Yarrow Wang knew what happened in these past years, our Xiao family would be done for. Xiao Yuancheng worried anxiously. Concubine Xue said, "How will Xiao Yarrow Wang know? Didn't the third miss say nothing today? After all, we are all a family. Blood is thicker than water are. She doesn't say it today. It doesn't mean that other people won't know. The people in the prefecture are talkative. I can't feel at ease. Then what does my lord intend to do?" Concubine Xue asked. Right now she is hoping to use Huang Beiyu to curry favor with Xiao Yarrow Wang. This matter is more important than her status in the Xiao family. Now, is she discouraged towards Xiao Yuancheng? She doesn't count on him anymore to raise her concubine status to the wife status. She had placed all her hope onto Xiao Yun. If Xiao is good, then she'll be good. Xiao Yuancheng's distorted face flashed a silver of strictness. I absolutely cannot tolerate her. Concubine Xue's heart trembled. The way she looked at Xiao Yuancheng is a little complicated. Even wild beasts look after their young. He hated Princess Zhong from that year after all that shame she had brought him. However, Huang Beiyu is his biological daughter. Yet he can be so heartless. She now saw how fickle he is. For so many years she followed him with her whole heart loyally, giving up what originally should be hers, ordinary happiness and life. In the end, what a joke. However, since things had already reached this stage, wanting to go back is too late. What is done and cannot be undone. She can only slowly coax him and stabilize her status. She needs to let Xiao Yun excel, then the second half of her life can she be carefree and without worries. How does my lord plan to do this? Concubine Xue softly asked. Her body is originally weak if she suddenly dies. It's still normal. We can't let her have a mishap in the prefecture again. Otherwise, the emperor would never let the Xiao family get away with it. Then my lord means. Concubine Xue only felt burst after burst of chilliness. Xiao Yuancheng's eyes became hazy. After many years of humiliation, it seemed that his had suddenly exploded at this moment. Let her accidentally die outside. No one can blame us then. Concubine Xue's heart jumped. After she remembered Xiao Yarrow Wang, hurriedly asked, when does my lord plan to do this? Of course the sooner, the better. But the plan still needs to be carefully planned out so that it'll be flawless. It would need a little bit of time. In fact, killing Huang Beiyu is easy. She is a waste and no one is beside her. To dispose of her, it would be easy. But in order to make sure that the matter is done so that nothing will leak out, making the emperor and Xiao Yarrow Wang both think that she had died accidentally, then it would need some good amount of effort. My lord, this matter would need you to carefully plan it. Must by all means, it can't have any slip-up. Martial arts competition on the stage, 2. Lord, I think we should plan this out first. There can't be anything wrong. Concubine Shui didn't want Huang Beiyu to die so fast. Without her, how can they pull Xiao Yarrow Wang to their side? Concubine Shui, it's you who knows me the best. All these years, I could only talk to you about the things I go through. Xiao Yuan Cheng turned his head around and saw Concubine Shui, who is as beautiful as a picture, just like in the past. He felt the stirring of love overflowing, stirring restlessly, unable to contain it. He promptly drew her towards him and pinned her down on the couch. Darling, you know me so well. There's no doubt why after so many years, I still love you the most. Xiao Yuan Cheng said. Both of his hands are already inside Concubine Shui's clothes, kneading her. Concubine Shui lovably moaned a few times. She protested coquettishly with a humph and glanced at him. You only know how to say good words to coax me. In her heart, though, she was laughing coldly. If he really had loved her all these years, he wouldn't let Concubine Chin, that slut, ride above her head. The person who drinks it knows best whether the water is hot or cold. After so many years of internal family strife, Concubine Shui was never the ignorant girl from before. She knew she can't rely on men, she could only rely on herself. Xiao Yuan Cheng sent a person over and urged Huang Beiyu to move over to Rongyu Pavilion a couple of times. After all, Rongyu Pavilion looked more decent, but Huang Beiyu politely rejected each time. Liu Yun Pavilion is quiet, which is exactly how she liked it. It would also be much more convenient for her to do things without so many people around. In desperation, Xiao Yuan Cheng decided to use a lot of money to let people renovate Liu Yun Pavilion. He made sure it was better than any of the yards of Princess Zhong's prefecture. This action not only made Concubine Chin's face look unpleasant for a couple of days, but it also made Huang Beiyu vomit blood because of how angry she was. She didn't want to move to Rongyu Pavilion because she didn't want people to annoy her. But who would have thought that Xiao Yuan Cheng was so scared of the emperor's anger during the palace banquet that he sent people to come to renovate the yard. The craftsmen worked day and night, which led Huang Beiyu to not be able to study the black jade in peace. She could only wait for Lingyang College to start. These 2 days Concubine Shui had tried many times to let Huang Beiyu go to Xiao Yarrow Wang Prefecture to thank Xiao Yarrow Wang for sending her back safely. Because she is afraid that Huang Beiyu will do something out of place, she let Xiao Yun follow Huang Beiyu too. Concubine Shui prepared a thank you gift and told Huang Beiyu to send it to Yun Yun. However, Huang Beiyu denied their request every time under the excuse that she wasn't feeling well. This led Concubine Shui and Xiao Yun to be unhappy. Xiao Yun wanted the pill badly, but she saw that Huang Beiyu was being uncooperative. In her heart, her hatred towards Huang Beiyu increased. 2 days later, that's when school started for Lingyang College. On this early morning, Dongling got up early and helped Huang Beiyu prepare her books and other items. The two of them walked from Liu Yun Pavilion to the front yard. This year Xiao Zhonglei and Xiao Ru could also enter Lingyang College. Therefore the family of Xiao all came out to send them off. Xiao Ling, who stood behind, had an ugly expression on. She saw that everyone was able to go to Lingyang College, even the waste Huang Beiyu, but she isn't able to go. No one knew how much Xiao Ling resented her at this moment. After what happened during the palace banquet, Xiao Yuan Cheng's attitude towards Huang Beiyu on the surface was very nice. It made it seem as though he was grateful that Huang Beiyu didn't tell the truth to the emperor. In Huang Beiyu's heart, she understood Xiao Yuan Cheng's attitude towards her. She saw how he had to pretend to be like a father towards her in front of people. She didn't really care. Martial arts competition on the stage, 3. Beiyu, you are entering Imperial College. All the people there are royalties. You need to be careful and not offend people. Huang Beiyu looked at him shortly and let Dongling help her up the horse carriage. Then she moved the curtains out of the way, exclaiming, "This is Princess Zhong's prefecture. Since I am the princess, I know what to do and what not to do. Father, you're overthinking." After she was done speaking, she placed the curtains back down. She coldly ordered, "Let's go." Xiao Yuan Cheng's face was green. The few sentences by Huang Beiyu seemed to be reminding him that he is merely a husband in Princess Zhong's prefecture. Even if Princess Zhong had passed away, he still had no right to speak. Today everyone inside the prefecture was gathered together regardless of their status. The few sentences that Huang Beiyu had said led everyone to gasp. Is this third lady under some spell? How come the words that came out of her mouth are shocking? After Xiao Yuan Cheng saw the several horse carriages left Princess Zhong's prefecture, he went to the royal court. The concubines had also left. After they left, the servants then gathered together in secret and discussed what happened. I heard that during the palace banquet the emperor harshly scolded the lord. The emperor said that the lord was treating the third lady poorly. Due to that, the emperor was so mad that he was going to chop the lord's head off. Yeah. The third lady got rewards the second day at the palace. The emperor, it seemed, hadn't forgotten the third lady R. Then what should we do R? See if the third lady has the emperor as the backup. Will the third lady come to find us for revenge R? All the people here had bullied the third lady before R. Well, I haven't do anything physically. The most I have done was scold her R. You think you can get away with it even though you only scolded her? Look at Li from yesterday night who had spoken badly about the third lady. She was beaten by the lord and now trapped in the firewood room. She hadn't eaten anything for a couple of days. It seemed like Li won't be able to make it. Then those of you who had physically hurt her will have a worse ending. If that's the case, we should all have a bad ending together. I don't think the third lady is such a vengeful person. Otherwise, she would have told the truth in the palace already are. I think so too. The third lady and Princess Zhong's personalities are the same. They are both nice and caring and their heart is warm. That's right. Like mother like daughter are. A group of people was rambled on and gossiped. Pei Xiong who just walked by heard this and she hid behind the door and sneered. Nice, caring, and a warm heart. That doesn't sound likely. However, the third miss from now on is not a person without talent. Every year after spring had passed, that's when Lingyang College began its entrance exams. The freshmen are assigned to colleges through the assessments while the old students took the assessments to see which grade they would be assigned to. At present time, Lingyang College had 4 major courses: martial arts, summoning, refining, and illusion. The college had recruited talented people from all over the country. When Huang Beiyu arrived at the entrance of Lingyang College, there were already many other carriages outside. These are carriages that escorted the young ladies' masters to school from the city. The gates of Lingyang College were magnificent, with hundreds of steps leading to the top. The dark arches in front of the door were filled with power and there are plenty of energies flowing. This is one of the barriers guarding Lingyang College. When there is an invasion of foreign enemies, the vitality on the archway will create a huge vitality barrier. If the invader's strength isn't above 8 stars, it is impossible to break through. The pure and honest black seemed to be more solemn, giving people a layer of admiration. Huang Beiyu got off the carriage and just walked up the stairs when she heard a loud scream from behind. The carriage of Anghua Gong Prefecture is here. Everyone get out of the way. The sound of the scream was filled with vitality, so it was particularly loud. In front of the originally lively door, everyone became to be quiet as they all shifted their attention to the fast-moving carriage. Martial arts competition on the stage. 4 new students from other parts of the country saw people from the Anghua Gong Prefecture for the first time. They couldn't help but be astonished. Under the sun of heaven, they can't believe that there is someone so arrogant. They heard before that Anghua Gong Prefecture in Nanyi country is very powerful. They have thousands of experts inside their prefecture. The amount of experts is like clouds. Plus they have a lot of financial resources. Anghua Gong is also a crafty person. It could be said that this generation of people from the Gong prefecture considers themselves high up in the sky. In the capital city, many influential officials fall over each other in eagerness to curry favor with them. Their publicity among the big families and clans is the most flourishing. Not many would dare to block this kind of power in the imperial capital. A few horsekeepers even tactfully pushed away their own carriage, letting the carriage from Gong prefecture to dash straightly in. The carriage arrogantly stopped at Lingyang College's doorway. The servant girl from the carriage jumped down to lift the curtain of the carriage. She lends an arm to the young master and the young miss to get down of the carriage. With one glance, Huang Beiyu was able to see Xueche, the Xueche who had obtained the rank 11 Red Spider. It was obvious that he was different from before. It seemed that in order to match the Red Spider's bright red body, he also wore a very arrogant red. He put on airs as a few young girls whose face became red from staring at him. Because Xueche is in the limelight, Xiao Zhongqi isn't happy. They are both young masters from big families. He isn't a summoner, so his status is lower than others. His has a conceited personality, so of course, he doesn't accept that fact. With Huang Beiyu's sharp observation skills, the corner of her eyes swept across the expression on his face, her heart moved slightly. In the past she thought Xiao Zhongqi and Xueche, who are both from sons of aristocratic families, would have a pretty good relationship. She would have never thought. She secretly laughed, not planning to look at the people from the Xue family any longer. She turned around along with Dongling and walked up the flight of steps. At this time, Xueche turned around, with an elegant demeanor, helped a beautiful young girl who is around 14 or 15 down. The young girl is wearing a bright green dress. Her hand held a long sword embedded with gems. Her actions are exuberant and she has a flowery beauty. She nimbly supported herself by holding on to Xueche's hand as jumped down from the carriage. Seeing this young girl got off the carriage, Xiao Yun smiled. She walked a few steps toward her, said, "Meng when did you return to the imperial city?" Xue Meng lifted her head and saw Xiao Yun. Her face smiled a bright smile. She winked at Xueche as she walked. "I just returned. The moment I returned, I heard that you and I will be even closer. Stop blabbering nonsense. I'll ignore you." When Xiao Yun heard that, she immediately turned red and stomped her foot, turned around and walked away. Then Xue Meng happily caught up with her and pulling her hand said, Okay. I won't make fun of you anymore. When did your skin become so thin?" When she saw Huang Beiyu, who is on the steps, she wrinkled her eyebrows and raised her chin. "When did your skin become so thin equals when did you become so shy? Is she Princess Beiyu, the one who was abandoned by my brother?" Huang Beiyu, who was walking up the steps, stopped for a second. Her hearing ability is extraordinary. How can she not hear what Xue Meng is saying? Xiao Yun needs to exploit Huang Beiyu, so she can't do as she did before, using every opportunity to humiliate her. She quickly pulled at Xue Meng's sleeve. She said in a low voice, "Let's not talk about this, let's talk what fun things you did recently." When Xue Meng heard that she was changing the topic, was immediately surprised. "I can't believe even you're afraid of her. Father said she actually dared to embarrass my brother in public." "Humph. I heard that she entered Lingyang College, so I intentionally came to see why a girl without manner dares to be so arrogant. Meng some words I'll tell you later." Martial arts competition on the stage. 5. Xiao Yun knew what Xue Meng's attitude was like. Being treasured by Gong, she naturally was arrogant. If she let Xue Meng go pick a fight with Huang Beiyu, this eldest young miss who has an evil heart might actually end up killing Huang Beiyu. She didn't want Huang Beiyu to die right now. Xiao Yun held on to Xue Meng tightly and didn't let her find Huang Beiyu's problem. The couple of them walked away from the other side. Huang Beiyu slowly walked up, going through her memories. Xue Meng was Gong Fu's eldest young miss, Xueche's sister. The two people's attitudes were about the same, both arrogant and like to bully the weak. Now that Xueche got the rank 11 Red Spider, he's going to be even more arrogant. In the Imperial College, most of the people were royals or from the royal families. Those who didn't have talent could come here to learn about etiquette, ruling a country, and military strategies. The Imperial College's teachers were mostly prestigious scholars throughout the country. Because it was Huang Beiyu's first time here and it was through Xiao Yarrow Wang's recommendation, there were specialized people who led her to see a few of the teachers in the Imperial College. Chen Yuan Shi, who teaches zither, is sick and is at home, so these 2 days, another teacher is substituting the class. Princess, please come in. That person slightly bent her back and led her into a courtyard with flowers and trees. A few zither notes are heard and it was obvious someone was testing the zither out. Okay. Put it away. The elegant voice said softly. Huang Beiyu thought that this voice was familiar to her but didn't think much about it. A man just turned around, his clothes whiter than snow and black hair as ink. His light purple eyes seemed as if it would seize all love affairs away. Huang Beiyu stood there stunned and heard the man laugh. Princess Beiyu, you're here. Paying respects to the teacher. Huang Beiyu politely answered. Her expression indifferent. Feng Lianyi looked at her, his eyes flashed over a disappointed look before disappearing. Right after he smiled, go to class. Huang Beiyu nodded her head and didn't say much either. She turned around and walked out. Dongling followed her, whispering, young miss doesn't seem to like this person. He isn't as nice as he is on the surface. If you see him later, be careful. That night's zither notes replayed in her heart. But the first time she saw him, she couldn't ignore the murderous aura around him. Her impression on this man always hadn't been that great. Dongling nodded her head. Now she is revered towards Huang Beiyu. Every word that Huang Beiyu says, Dongling will hold on to it as though that is the only truth. She will never doubt it. The Imperial College's classes included zither, literature, art, etiquette, history, military strategies, arithmetic, medicine, and riding skills. The students didn't need to take all the classes. They just needed to pick 3 to 4 classes that they enjoyed. Huang Beiyu chose riding, military strategies, medicine, and history. These 4 classes were more likely to be chosen by males. Even if they were males, they wouldn't choose all these 4 rather hard classes. After Huang Beiyu had chosen, she grabbed her schedule and left. She ignored the old man who kept on talking. These 4 classes were more of her taste. She didn't want to learn about the 4 arts, zither, go, calligraphy, painting. She thought it was useless since she wouldn't be applying this in the future. It's not like she's going to be a housewife. Her dream was way above this. Today's first class was riding. Huang Beiyu changed to a casual riding outfit and pulled her hair up into a ponytail. With that, she went to class. Martial arts competition on the stage, 6. During this era, many countries all focused on martial arts. Those who had talent all went to the East Courtyard of Lingyang College. Those who had no talents and wanted to learn some skills all picked riding. All the 10 classes, this class held the most popularity. On the riding field from a distant place, groups of aristocratic young masters' ladies could be seen wearing a variety of gorgeous and exquisite horse-riding costumes. The fragrances they wore burst into the air. This didn't seem to like a riding field, but instead more like an outdoor banquet. Huang Beiyu couldn't help but regret her choice. If she knew earlier, she wouldn't have chosen riding class. It was already basic skills for her, so it wasn't really helping her in any way. She just thought that this body was too weak, so it needed some training. That's why she chose riding. Who knew Beiyu? While she was being depressed, a crisp voice rang from the back. A group of young masters misses all looked towards here and greeted them. Paying respects to the princess. All rise. Princess Yingyi casually raised her hand and smiled. She walked up to Huang Beiyu and grabbed her hand. Today she wore a bright red riding suit which reflected well with her pretty little face. I heard the classes that you chose and I couldn't believe it. Your body isn't that well, so you should have picked some easier classes like the 4 arts. I've been staying at home for a long time, so I wanted to try something new. Huang Beiyu just found a random excuse to say to Princess Yingyi. She added on, class is starting, let's go. Today was the first day, so there were many freshmen. Teacher Guo Yuan, who taught riding, decided to take this group of freshmen to the East Courtyard to see the real masters, hoping it will motivate their fighting spirit. The students immediately became excited. Each one was energetic and followed teacher Guo Yuan to the east courtyard. In the eastern courtyard for martial arts, a group of relatively good students came this year. The coach taught them basic skills while the old students watched and guided them. Teacher Guo Yuan, what brought you here? To see my new group of students are? They're all incredible. Teacher Lei Yuan laughed and walked over here, his face smug. Teacher Guo Yuan's face became uncomfortable, but he still walked over there and smiled. Teacher Lei Yuan, I didn't expect you to be here today. If he knew it was Teacher Lei Yuan who taught today, he wouldn't have come. They're both students in the martial arts academy, but Lei Yuan can actually teach martial arts while he could only stay in Imperial College and teach a bunch of aristocratic young Mrs. Master's riding skill. It's good that I'm here. Haha. Coincidentally, the new students came today. Teacher Guo Yuan, are you interested in a competition? Competition? A competition with the Martial Arts Academy? These aristocratic young masters Mrs. immediately became timid and they looked at each other. Although they were usually proud, they still were smart enough. Teacher Guo Yuan exclaimed, it is not necessary for a competition. You can just give us some tips. Teacher Lei Yuan was only joking anyway. He knew the levels of these aristocratic young masters Mrs. He chuckled and waved his hand over, Meng you can come to guide them. Surrounded by a group of young geniuses, revering her as their leader, Shui Meng walked out like a proud princess. Teacher Lei Yuan looked around and saw Princess Ying Yi, who stood behind the crowd. He was taken aback. Princess, you're here too. Princess Ying Yi could be counted as having talent in martial arts too. She was an old student, but because of the Empress's worry, she didn't come to the Martial Arts Academy often. Most of the times she spent her day in Imperial College learning poetry and etiquette. Princess Ying Yi nodded her head, dignified and grandeur. This is how a princess should be. Martial arts competition on the stage. 7. I'm just looking around, no need to look after me. Teacher Lei Yuan nodded his head and turned over to Shui Meng and said, just perform a few tricks for them to look. Shui Meng nodded and walked up, revealing her beautiful smile. She paid her respects to Princess Ying Yi and performed a couple skills in front of everyone. She wore a bright green dress, the cuffs danced, and her waist twisted, exposing her beauty to the maximum. The young men who only dared to bow their heads towards Princess Ying Yi, all looked towards Shui Meng with full attention. They screamed at how fantastic she was. Teacher Lei Yuan also touched the short beard on his chin and nodded. No doubt, Shui Meng was one of the students he was proud of. After she finished performing, Shui Meng raised her hand towards the place she had just performed, asking, these few tricks are quite simple. Does anyone want to come out and practice with me? Shui Meng's skills had spread throughout Lingyang College. She and her elder brother were simply the same, both enjoyed to bring down the new student's self-esteem and confidence. It was rumored that a new female student from this year was really beautiful and had a lot of talent. Shui Meng brought a few people with her and beat the female student until she couldn't stand up. She was taken home on her first day of school. Many people didn't like the way Shui Meng acted, but no one dared to say anything about it because of her background, strength, and beauty. After all, even the teachers were on her side. She smiled and walked around the crowd in a circle. Those aristocratic young misses were all afraid that Shui Meng would call on them, they all looking down and avoiding her gaze. But of course, Shui Meng wouldn't look for any other people. She saw Huang Beiyu with her first glance. She wanted to teach this girl, who would insult her father and siblings in front of everyone, a lesson. Today she had the best chance. She would teach her a real good lesson to make her father and brother feel better. Princess Beiyu, I heard that you're smart and agile. These simple tricks, you must have learned this before already. How about you come up and practice with me? The entire Linhuai city all knew that Huang Beiyu from Princess Zhong Prefecture is a weak waist. Everyone knew that Shui Meng was purposefully insulting her by saying that she was smart and agile. Shui Meng was just complimenting Huang Beiyu first, so it didn't seem like she was trying to find a weakling as an opponent. She made it seem like she wasn't trying to take advantage of someone. After she had said this, everyone turned their heads towards Huang Beiyu. They either felt sympathetic or were waiting on a good show. He, Huang Beiyu's going to be tortured by Shui Meng. Princess Yingyi frowned and her eyes narrowed. Beiyu's body isn't feeling well. Find somebody else. Since the princess had already spoken, who dared to not follow her orders? Shui Meng clenched her jaw. What is this arrogant Princess Yingyi doing, trying to stand up for Huang Beiyu? At the last auction, she heard that she also went against her father, so annoying. Shui Meng was about to look for another target when Huang Beiyu touched her chin. Her face serious. You really want to practice with me? If Princess Beiyu's body isn't feeling well, then it's fine. I don't want it to seem like I'm trying to take advantage of you. The way Shui Meng spoke was obviously not happy with the decision. Huang Beiyu thought about it. Well, my body's fine. But I'm not sure how much of those few tricks that I remembered. How about I come up and practice with you? In Shui Meng's heart, she was excited. This stupid girl is just like how Xiao Yun had said. Her brain is so dumb. She wanted to let her go, but Huang Beiyu was the one who insisted. Okay, if she, later on, ate a loss, everyone had seen that it was Huang Beiyu who wanted to practice with her. Martial arts competition on the stage, 8. Princess Yingyi looked at Huang Beiyu, worried. She said, Beiyu, it's just a practice. Princess, you don't need to worry. The way she spoke was naive, like a typical girl who knew nothing of the world. After she was done speaking, Huang Beiyu walked up and said to Shui Meng, not everyone can us see here. Let's go up there. She raised her hand and pointed to the arena in the practice field. The people in the practice field were all shocked by her suggestion. Shui Meng looked her strangely. You want to go up there and spar with me? This stupid girl, does she have a brain? Does she know what an arena is? That's a place where Shui Meng isn't held responsible if Huang Beiyu gets hurt or die. Life and death don't count. Princess Yingyi already stood up and walked towards them. Even Teacher Lei Yuan and Teacher Yuan Shi went up to stop this. No. The purpose of the arena is not used for practice. But Huang Beiyu didn't care as she kept walking towards the arena. What? Are you afraid? As she walked by Shui Meng, she lowly exclaimed. Only the two of them could hear. This is the first time someone had arrogantly challenged Shui Meng of all the years she had lived. Huang Beiyu dared to ask her if she dared. A waste dared to talk to her like that. Humph. Later on, when she goes up there, life and death don't count. Don't cry and beg. Shui Meng followed her in large strides. Beiyu. Princess Yingyi yelled. This is a martial arts competition on the arena. As long as the two people agreed, no one can interfere with them. Even though this wasn't the law, but it had been like this since the ancient times and people had always followed. Because on the arena, there's only the two of them. No one else. What should she do? If Beiyu got into an accident, Father Emperor will be upset. Royal Aunt who is in the afterworld will be sad too. She immediately ordered her entourage whose job is to protect her to inform Royal Brother quickly. Tell him to come over here, quick. That entourage also knew that the situation is getting out of hand and didn't dare to stall time. He immediately left. On the arena, Huang Beiyu and Shui Meng had already walked up. Both standing on opposite sides and stared at each other. The bottom was surrounded by a group of people who were watching this happen. That Princess Beiyu is so dumb. How dare she challenge Shui Meng to the arena? She's going to have a bad ending. Hopefully Shui Meng is lenient with her. How is that possible? What type of people do you think the family of Shui's siblings are? Everyone knows. Shui Meng, who stood in the arena, had heard everything and raised her eyebrows. Huang Beiyu, if you surrender it's okay. You just need to beg me, then this competition will be off. Surrender? Why should I surrender? Huang Beiyu held her two hands, her tone cold. If this Shui Meng didn't come to find her problem, she wouldn't be going against her so quick. However, since the opponent is already stepping on her head, if she is still able to take it in, she isn't Huang Beiyu then. Bitch, watch you cry and beg me later on. Shui Meng hemphed. She arranged a gesture. Let's begin. Huang Beiyu also imitated her gesture. Those were all shown by Shui Meng before. You copied it pretty well. Shuemeng said with disdain. She already used the trick she performed before to attack. Her hands were getting close to Huang Beiyu's side when Huang Beiyu turned around and avoided her attack easily. Shuemeng was stunned. Were her moves too slow? This waist is pretty agile. Don't be too proud. Later on, you'll be suffering. Martial arts competition on the stage. 9. Going against a waist. If the battle can't be resolved quickly, her face will be lost. Therefore, after that trick didn't go the way she wanted, Shuemeng increased her speed. Every time she attacked, it was rapid. These simple moves were used to the full potential. This is the advantage of a master. Huang Beiyu responded back with the same moves. She isn't as harsh and quick as Shuemeng, but her moves were connected and flowed. It looked as though it didn't have any power, but only Shuemeng knew that she had almost used 70% of her power and she still wasn't able to even touch a corner of Huang Beiyu's cloth. This led Shuemeng, who was born with arrogance, to be infuriated. In front of a master, if she ate a loss, she couldn't take it already, not to say in front of a waist. Huang Beiyu, do you know that in an arena life and death doesn't count? I won't be held responsible. Once again Huang Beiyu dodged Shuemeng's moves, which led to her beautiful face to be somewhat distorted. Life and death don't count. Huang Beiyu raised her eyebrows and her eyes flashed over a glimpse of coldness. Life and death don't count. Shuemeng yelled and suddenly changed the way she was attacking. She stopped using the couple of tricks she demonstrated before. Each trick was fast, harsh, and deadly. She aimed for Huang Beiyu's most vulnerable places. The people at the bottom all gasp. What is wrong with Shuemeng? Didn't she say it's just for practice? Why did she make it seem like she was trying to kill Huang Beiyu? Teacher Guo Yuan hemphed. Teacher Lei Yuan, you have overbearing students are. This is Princess Beiyu's first time coming to the academy and she had never touched martial arts before. Your students like the bully the weak. Teacher Lei Yuan's face was red from being scolded and he thought this was losing his faces too. Originally practicing with someone who didn't learn martial arts before and not being able to gain an advantage is already losing his face. But now Shuemeng had performed harsh tricks which led the whole academy's face to be lost. Plus, Princess Yingyi is standing here watching the battle. Looking at the princess's face had made him unhappy already. Teacher Lei Yuan took a step forward and ordered, Meng just tap her and it's enough. But of course, would Shuemeng, who was already blinded by her anger towards Huang Beiyu, listen to him? She was usually arrogant and didn't like Huang Beiyu. If she didn't beat Huang Beiyu and make her beg, she wouldn't feel satisfied. Huang Beiyu swirled and avoided Shuemeng's force, which she placed on the palm of her hand. Using the dodge, she flashed over to Shuemeng's back and performed a back kick from the demonstration earlier. The body like a 12-year-old was shorter than Shuemeng by a head, but she was able to raise her leg really high. Shuemeng, under shock, turned around and coincidentally, the kick landed on her face, which led her to back up a few steps. She couldn't believe it. She was most proud of her face and yet someone had kicked her there. The strength wasn't too much. Even though she didn't feel the pain, she couldn't accept the truth. She was beaten by a waist. Not only that, it was due to a move that she had performed. How is this possible? Shame, this is a shame. Under the arena, those who had been discussing immediately quieted down. Each one widened their eyes. Like Shuemeng, they couldn't believe it either. Who knew that Huang Beiyu, the waist, was able to perform the basic tricks so proficiently. On top of that, she was able to get a kick on Shuemeng. On her face, Shuemeng was almost stepping into the ranks of intermediate fighters. That waist. Is she really a waist? In the silent practice field, Princess Yingyi clapped her hands and grinned. Nice job. Martial arts competition on the stage. 10. Teacher Guo Yuan also laughed. Lei, your martial arts academy hasn't been doing well. Haha. Teacher Lei Yuan was so angry that his face turned green. Originally he wanted to come up and stop Shuemeng. Now, he's not even going to. Huang Beiyu's just an aristocratic young miss from Imperial College who knew no martial arts. She just had good luck. He didn't believe that she'd keep having good luck. If he had let this Princess Bei Yu get her way, then what faces will the Martial Arts Academy have anymore? Xue Meng held her face and slowly fell out of her trance. She glared at Huang Bei Yu deadly. That fierce and sinister look in her eyes seemed to want to swallow her whole. Her head buzzed and she comforted herself in her heart that it was an accident. It must be an accident before. In her vision, Huang Bei Yu wore a casual riding suit, the petite figure stood tall, and her black eyes were clear. The whole body revealed a real aristocratic temperament. Noble, proud, inviolable. She raised a finger towards Xue Meng. Continue. I'm going to kill you. In Xue Meng's heart, the thought of murder flashed over. She dares to give her shame, this time she won't be lenient. The poor Xue Meng still thought that it's because she hadn't released all her powers, that Huang Bei Yu was able to give her shame. If she knew who the young lady in front of her was, she would have killed herself. She threw herself over, the bright green dress seemed to fly, the cuffs dancing. This type of style exposed her beauty when in battle. However, to Huang Bei Yu, who had accepted special training starting when she was little, Xue Meng's actions were filled with mistakes. All of a sudden, a glimpse of coldness flashed over Huang Bei Yu's eyes. Under Xue Meng's sleeves, she sneakily held a dagger. Huang Bei Yu quickly took a step to the side, purposefully not dodging Xue Meng's attack, letting the dagger slash her throat a bit. Under the arena, the audience all gasped. After that, everyone threw a look of disdain towards Xue Meng. This Xue Meng is despicable. The opponent was just using the basic skills that were taught, but she used a weapon trying to kill the other. Everyone knew Xue Meng's personality. She was just using the fact that she had a strong strength and big background, that's why she was able to bully the weak. This Princess Bei Yu is definitely unlucky. Xue Meng. How dare you hurt her? Princess Yingyi yelled and walked towards the arena in large strides attempting to stop the battle. Teacher Lei Yuan and Teacher Gui Yuan followed behind. This Xue Meng doesn't know what she's doing. She didn't even look at the opponent's background. Is Princess Bei Yu that easy to bully? However, on the stage there followed a dramatic change. Just after Xue Meng slashed Huang Bei Yu's throat, she smiled coldly at Xue Meng. Using one foot, she stepped on Xue Meng's long dress and raised one hand out to pull on the streamer of the sleeve. It was still a move that Xue Meng had performed. But when she performed it, it gave people a feeling of shiver and death. Dodge, turn, and the streamer bypassed Xue Meng's neck. The sleeves were tugged open. The dagger that Xue Meng held was exposed in everyone's sight. Xue Meng's eyes flashed over a glimpse of nervousness. But it was too late. Just as the streamer bypassed her throat, along with the sleeves, she had tugged her hand over. To frame and blame someone else. 1. She didn't understand how Huang Bei Yu used her strength, but when she wanted to yell out, the dagger had already slashed her throat. The fresh blood immediately rushed out, reflecting her big eyes. The practice field was dead silent, as though the end of the world had come. Although it was bright outside, the practice field had no warmth, like a burst of coldness had spread. Everyone felt their hairs had stood up due to the coldness. Huang Bei Yu's hand had still held onto the streamer, and Xue Meng's throat was slit. Her hand was holding the dagger. That sharp dagger which had slit her throat in half. The evil we bring on ourselves is the hardest to bear. She lifted the corner of her mouth coldly and released her hand. Xue Meng's body immediately fell like a broken puppet from the stage. Pang! The bright green dress fluttered and she harshly knocked to the ground. A pool of blood spread out from her body. All the people took a step back. In the first 3 seconds, no one was able to react. The figure on the arena slowly walked to the end. The body elegant, against the light, the facial expressions were dark and can't be seen clearly. Only those black eyes flashed coldly. Outside the practice field, Xue Che, who had heard about the arena battle between Xue Meng and Huang Bei Yu, had come along with a few other friends to watch the show. He didn't know how the fact that he got insulted by Huang Bei Yu in Princess Zhong's prefecture had spread out, which led him to be laughed at by the aristocratic young masters. How can he swallow this shame? His good sister always knew his heart best. Sure enough, this time she can definitely teach Huang Bei Yu a lesson for him. Just as he walked into the practice field, there wasn't the expected yelling and screaming. Instead, it was silent. A strange type of silent. No one talked and the air released the type of coldness that made everyone worry. Xueche didn't know why his heart beat twice harshly. He hurriedly looked towards the arena just in time to see Huang Beiyu stood behind Xuemeng and pulled on the streamer on her sleeve. And Xuemeng's throat was slit in half. That Huang Beiyu released her hand and Xuemeng's body harshly knocked onto the ground. Dead silence. Xueche was stunned and afterward, the overwhelming distress and anger spread through his body. His sister which he loved very much since childhood was killed. You stupid girl. Go die. Xueche was extremely aggressive, his eyes on fire, and his face was twisted. He didn't say anything but immediately summoned his rank 11 spirit beast, Red Spider. The Red Spider's body was humongous. Being that the red body suddenly appeared in the practice field, the head almost broke the ceiling, 8 feet of claws moving around. The sharp cold air and the poison flashed on it. The red spider's huge eyes contained a fire and it deeply hummed. This was a martial arts academy. All the people in the academy are those with talent. They didn't even reach the rank where they could be summoners. Even teacher Lei Yuan, who was a warrior, got frightened by the huge red spider. He quickly yelled for the students to run away. Leave now. Quickly go. Princess, please leave now. Teacher Yuan protected the aristocratic young misses to leave. Xueche, you are going over the line, Princess Yingyi yelled towards Xueche. To frame and blame someone else, too, Xueche, you're out of line, Princess Yingyi yelled towards Xueche. However, Xueche, who was angry to the maximum extent, didn't hear Princess Yingyi's voice. The huge red spider was moved by Xueche. Its murderous aura rushed towards Huang Beiyu. Its body's exploding lightning, scaring everyone so much that they ran for their lives. Huang Beiyu, who was on the stage, didn't even move. Her lips tilted up. Xueche, even you wanted to die. If all of a sudden 2 people were killed from Anguagong's prefecture, what reaction would the old and fat Anguagong have? Last time people were sent to Princess Zhonggong's prefecture to deal with her but failed. He must be looking for another chance to do so. At least to teach a lesson. Anguagong might have given permission to Xuemeng's actions today. People don't bother me, I don't bother them. If people bother me, I will kill them. How about, she continued to give Anguagong another gift. She stood there frozen and the huge red spider, in the blink of an eye, was really close to her. She wanted to summon her ice spirit bird when someone yelled from the crowd. Along with that voice, the windows in the practice field was suddenly broken open. A dazzling red light came out and the feeling of danger filled the space immediately. The dark red flame was like a dragon screaming and the arrogant red spider was smashed out in an instant. In the sound of the red spider roaring, the 2 huge legs were burned and almost turned to grey. Xueche revealed a terrified look and fell off the red spider. His clothes were burned off half. Royal brother, Princess Yingyi was happy. She sighed. Thankfully Royal brother came in just in time. This Xueche wasn't like Xuemeng. Xueche was a summoner and he had the rank 11 red spider. In Lingyang College he is counted as a master too. Beiyu wanted to seek an advantage against Xueche, that is almost impossible. The purple fire unicorn stood on the platform and the super-spiritual pressure led the red spider to step back. It didn't dare to even attack. Crown Prince. Xueche, who trembled and raised his head. Even if he had the rank 11 red spider, he didn't dare to go against the Crown Prince But his sister was murdered so miserably Crown Prince, you need to bring justice to my sister Princess Bei, you committed a crime and killed my sister. Even the heavens can't tolerate this Xueche fell on the red spider's back and hissed. Sitting on the purple fire unicorn, the Crown Prince's face was cold. It is the battle on the arena. Life and death don't count. Xueche's eyes were practically about to fall out. She did this on purpose. Huang Beiyu, you stupid girl. You planned this out to kill my sister. Huang Beiyu looked at him coldly and in disdain. So what if she had planned to kill her? The battle on the arena, life, and death doesn't count. This is the rule on Kart mainland. When coming on the stage, it is best to forget about death. Planned this. Look carefully, she killed herself. Huang Beiyu coldly peered at Xuemeng's bloody body. That dagger was still held in Xuemeng's hand. There is proof. How is it her fault? Xueche looked at that dagger. He felt like someone had twisted a knife into his heart. His body was trembling. What about me? I'm just a new student that just came to Imperial College. Xuemeng is an intermediate fighter. She wanted to practice some tricks with me, but she used a weapon instead. In the end, she is just suffering from her own actions. Who can she blame? To frame and blame someone else. 3. This statement led everyone to think back to what happened before. This Princess Beiyu from start to end only used the tricks that Xuemeng had demonstrated. But Xuemeng, on the other hand, used skills from being an intermediate fighter. Each trick was harsh. In the end, she even took out a weapon and planned to kill Huang Beiyu. This led people to look down upon Xuemeng. The opponent was just an ordinary young lady. That Xuemeng was older than Huang Beiyu and her strength was higher too. She should have been letting Huang Beiyu, but instead of letting, she became more severe when attacking. Her death, can it be blamed on anyone else? It can only be blamed on herself for her actions. Everyone heard what Huang Beiyu said is right and nodded their head in agreement. They gossiped lowly about how Xuemeng's methods were fierce and harsh, how she bullied the weak, and how she took advantage of the small. Xueche heard this and his face burned red. So apparently, his sister died. Huang Beiyu isn't held responsible and is confident, still letting everyone praise her about how smart and flexible she is. Looking at the surrounding people, they all looked at him in disdain, including the friends he had brought over. In Kart mainland, everyone respected martial arts. They respected masters even more. If a master bullied the weak based on their strength, they will definitely be viewed as despicable by everyone. People like family Shue's siblings are already arrogant in Lingyang College, and it is already proven that they bullied the weak. From the start, there were many people who were angry at their actions. Now they were asking for trouble. Everyone chuckled to themselves in secret. With the Crown Prince Zhongyi here along with so many people from Lingyang College, no matter how arrogant and angry Xueche is, he had to hold it in. Huang Beiyu, the death of my sister, I will let you pay the price. Xueche cruelly threatened her. Then he jumped off the red spider's back and carried the remains of Xuemeng in the direction of home. Huang Beiyu laughed coldly in her heart. His overestimating his abilities. She wanted it to be like this. She wanted to kill Xuemeng and for the Anguagong prefecture to not be able to find evidence that she had done so. They could do nothing but to glare at her. Princess Yingyi ran up to the stage and asked concerned, "Did you get scared badly?" Huang Beiyu shook her head. Just that red spider, she dared to say, even if the Crown Prince Zhongyi didn't show up on time, that red spider wouldn't dare to attack her. That was a joke. The beast was tamed by her. If it weren't that she purposefully pushed down her imposing manner on the spider, no matter how hard Xueche tried to summon it, the red spider wouldn't dare to come out. She raised her head to the young man on the purple fire unicorn. Adding on to the time in the foggy forest of the ice field, it was the third time he helped her. No matter whether with the status of Shi Tian or Huang Beiyu, she could always see the gentle and caring side of the young man. She doesn't know whether she is lucky or not. Zhongyi turned around to look at her. The handsome face like usual had no expression. This time was the same. Don't do this again next time. Places like the arena, life, and death cannot be inferred. This time she had good luck. What about next time? She couldn't possibly be lucky all the time. Royal brother, this time it isn't Beiyu's fault. It was Xuemeng who challenged her first. If she didn't accept, this will lead people to laugh at the royal family. In Princess Yingyi's heart, her desire to protect the royal family was very strong. She believed that since Huang Beiyu was the daughter of Princess Zhong, they have the same blood. That's why Princess Yingyi would view her as her sister. She is straightforward. If she believed in that person, she will be nice to them forever. To frame and blame someone else. 4. Zhong Yi's face became serious. Accepting the challenge, even if it was accepting the challenge, it shouldn't be on the arena. Princess Yingyi moved her neck back. Huang Beiyu spat her tongue at him. Suddenly she had a child's heart. She felt like she was a 12-year-old girl who did something wrong and got scolded by her elder brother. Family love, the first time it had happened in this era. The event regarding the battle in the arena between Princess Beiyu and Xuemeng spread throughout Lingyang College. Xuemeng had a sinister way of doing things. Attempted to hide weapons, and tried to kill someone but end up paying the consequences. All of a sudden, many people from the school praised Huang Beiyu for the way she does things. Huang Beiyu had also got the reputation for being smart and flexible. This event spread really quick. Once Xiao Yun and Xiao Zhongqi had heard that Xuemeng was killed by Huang Beiyu, their faces changed and they went to find Huang Beiyu. The first day of school, these huge events had happened. The martial arts academy was ruined by the red spider and the purple fire unicorn. Due to this, the school allowed everyone to leave earlier. Therefore, when Xiao Yun and Xiao Zhongqi had arrived at the Imperial College, Huang Beiyu had left already. The two people hurriedly went back home. As soon as they got home, there was a servant who announced, "Eldest young master, young miss, things aren't looking good. The third lady had killed Angua Gong's young miss. Right now the lord is mad." The two people had a headache. Well, Xiao Zhongqi thought it was nothing. Xiao Yun and Xue Chei's engagement was almost decided when this happened. No doubt Angua Gong's prefecture wouldn't want her anymore. "Huang Beiyu, you should have died." Xiao Yun angrily scolded and took large strides. In the front room of Princess Zhong's prefecture, Xiao Yuan Cheng tried his best to hold his stomach full of anger and said to Huang Beiyu, "You will go to Angua Gong's prefecture and apologize. Whether Angua Gong wants you to be a cow or a horse, you'll follow his orders." Huang Beiyu coldly looked at him, her eyes filled with disdain. "Why should I? Why should you? You had killed Xuemeng and aggravated Angua Gong. Do you even want our Xiao family to have a place in imperial capital anymore?" Xiao Yuan Cheng stomped with fury. Looking at Huang Beiyu's indifference, the fury in his heart grew. This stupid girl. She isn't as easy to bully anymore as she was when she was little. He subtly thought she's a fierce and violent wild animal that didn't expose its teeth yet until now. Xiao family? Huang Beiyu slightly raised her eyebrows. She had settled down sitting when she decided to stand up and raised her hand pointing at the door. "Well, I remember that outside the door, the horizontal inscribed board had said Princess Zhonggong's prefecture these 4 words. The emperor had written that himself. What does this have to do with the Xiao family? Emperor's brother-in-law, did you get something wrong?" Xiao Yuan Cheng's eyes widened, his face red and whole body trembled. You dash he was so angry he couldn't speak. Huang Beiyu laughed harshly. "Mother isn't here. The things that go on in Princess Zhong's prefecture, I will take care of. I will also bear the consequences of aggravating Angua Gong. That had nothing to do with the Xiao family. No need to worry." Concubine Qin stood up suddenly. "Princess Beiyu, what Princess Zhong's prefecture, what Xiao family? Everyone here is all a family. We share fortune and misfortune together." Dongling, who had been behind Huang Beiyu, smiled. "Concubine, you're wrong. Our young miss has the surname of the royal family. Her body has the blood of the royal family. But the lord and the other young master's misses are different. Although they all live here, their status is all different. The surname is also Xiao. About the concubines now." To frame and blame someone else. 5. Dongling paused a second and looked at Concubine Qin, who had distorted their faces from being so angry, then continued, "Well, the concubines were not officially wed by the lord. Therefore the names on the lineage wouldn't have the surname Xiao. So that can't be described as being a family. You cheap girl. There's no space for you to talk here." Concubine Qin was stabbed by where it hurts. Immediately she threw a slap towards Dongling. She still thought that Huang Beiyu and Dongling were those useless servants. But she didn't know that Dongling knew martial arts from childhood. Zhonggongzhu had invited teachers over and taught her. In the past, she held it in to protect the young miss. Now she didn't need to anymore. Dongling raised her hand and caught Concubine Qin's wrist tightly. This girl's strength wasn't small. She immediately grabbed Concubine Qin and she cried out for help. Concubine Shui watched on the side, happy with what's going on. Seeing that Concubine Qin was being taught a lesson, she was happier than anyone else. Xiong Yuan Cheng saw and was also shocked. Outside the door came Xiao Zhongqi's angry voice. "Stupid girl, how dare you cross the line?" Like a whirlwind, the figure came in quickly. Huang Beiyu knew that Xiao Zhongqi had some strength and quickly grabbed Donglin to her side. Stupid girl. Xiao Zhongqi wasn't ready to let this go. When did he see his mother ever be treated like this? He was the elder in the family and untouchable. He never placed Huang Beiyu in his eyes. Now even the maid of Huang Beiyu dared to touch his mother. How could he let this go? Big brother, what are you doing? Huang Beiyu protected Dongling and placed her behind. She raised her head at Xiao Zhongqi, who had held his fist. You don't know how to teach your maids. I'll teach them for you. Huang Beiyu's face was quiet and then she smiled. You hold the status of an advanced warrior and hold the appreciation of the crown prince. In military you also have outstanding military service. The emperor said that he's going to award you. Now you're going to beat up a maid who have no strength at all. What will the military think? What will the crown prince or emperor think? Xiao Zhongqi, who had took large strides, suddenly halted. His face was hesitant. That Concubine Qin wasn't dumb either. She knew that her son's future is the most important. Zhongqi, your status doesn't require you to lower yourself down to maids. This statement led Xiao Zhongqi to have an excuse out. He angrily shook his hand and walked over to Concubine Qin's side. Xiao Yun walked in and exclaimed, Huang Beiyu, everything that you did today, aren't you afraid that Angua Gong will come and take revenge on you? Shuemeng was her friend. Her friend died, naturally she would be upset. What was more important was that once Shuemeng died, her and Xueche's engagement is probably going to be called off. Even though there's still Xiao Yarrow Wang, but how could she be willing? I killed the person already. What more would I be scared of? Huang Bei, you looked at everyone in the room. My 2 hands are covered with blood. I won't be afraid to do anything in the future. After this statement, Concubine Qin, who was scared, took a step back. These noble ladies, who had seen someone kill and covered with blood. Huang Bei, you stared at them coldly and left with Dongling. After she left, Xiao Yuan Cheng slammed his fist down on the table. Concubine Qin hurriedly said, Lord, what should we do? The power of Angua Gong is not to be played with. Even though family Xiao had Xiao old man, but the old man never interfered with Zhong Gongzhu's business. To frame and blame someone else. 6. Xiao Yuan Cheng was in a rage. But at this moment, he couldn't think of any solution. He could only worry helplessly. My lord, how about we send someone to go to Angua Gong's prefecture to meet the steward and bring some presents? We can tell him that the person who had killed Meng Shui is Huang Beiyu. It has nothing to do with us. Furthermore, we'll express grief for the death of young Miss Shui. We'll ask him to say some good words about us in front of Angua Gong to make it seem like we are innocent. Let Angua Gong look for revenge against Huang Beiyu. This matter doesn't concern us. Concubine Shui is always meticulous and very calculating. Xiao Yuan Cheng in some aspects heavily relies on her. When he heard her words, he nodded his head. He immediately ordered someone to prepare some gift and go to Angua Gong's prefecture. Huang Beiyu, who had returned to Flowing Cloud Pavilion, had heard everything. She thoughtfully smiled. They don't want to get involved, is it that easy? She put on the black robe and the black cloak. She told Dong Ling to be careful at home and she sneaked out. She walked around Bujia Market, paying particular attention to the restaurant those mercenaries returned to. Yang, can you feel it? Will that Xueche really come to this place? She frowned as she talked to Yang. The places that mercenaries like to go, it's mostly noisy and chaotic places. She really doubts that Xueche, who is the son of an aristocratic, will really come. Inside the Red Spider, it has the smell of the black jade. It's near here, Yang said lazily. Ever since that day she had let him out, Yang felt that his whole body is more comfortable. The past 2 days had been more enjoyable for him. Huang Beiyu pushed open the door of a liquor store. She walked in and swept her gaze across the room. On the second floor, there is a familiar figure, making her narrow her eyes. She took large strides towards that figure. The noisy and chaotic liquor store suddenly became silent upon her arrival. The strong mercenaries who were drinking and exchanging punches immediately turned their head to look at her. Someone grew a big mouth, all the liquor that he had drunk, lolo dripped down from their mouth. Huala, crashing sound to be able to see the person from the legend in such a close range. How can these people not be shocked? On the day of the palace banquet, Shi Tiandaren had defeated Nanyi country's undefeated general. This news has already spread all over the country. Shi Tian, this name. It has already become the name of the strong. It will soon be spread across the Kart mainland. Shi Tiandaren. Is there anything I can do? The waiter of the liquor store asked excitedly as he ran up to her. The liquor store is already full to its capacity. She freely walked across to the only place that still had a vacant seat and sat down. She faintly said, "A bottle of purple grape wine." Purple grape wine is one of the most common wine in Nanyi country. The wine is strong, rich and mellow. Compared to the bejeweled nectar that aristocratic drink, it's not comparable. But because it's cheap, it's very popular. Bejeweled nectar, ambrosia of the immortals, superb liquor, top quality wine. I told you not to come and bother me. Roll far away. The person across her drunkenly said as he suddenly slammed the table. After he shouted, the people around them turned to look at him. Their eyes contained sympathy. Huang Beiyu, under the black cloak, coolly said, "Oh? This empty seat, I can't sit." I said no. That man suddenly lifted his head. His face showed that he was completely drunk. He looked at the mysterious black cloak and was suddenly stunned. His throat gurgled. For a while, he wasn't able to speak. "I apologize for disturbing you." Huang Beiyu stood up and pretended to leave. Shi Tiandaren. His drunken brain suddenly awakens and became clear. Xueche quickly walked out, reverent and respectfully, said, "You can sit, please sit. Please sit." To frame and blame someone else. 7. Many thanks. Huang Bei said as she sat again. When she lifted her head to see Xueche standing, she said, "Xuegongzi, please sit down too. This was originally your seat." She spoke calmly. There was no alienation from her voice that experts usually have. It immediately made Xueche's heart relax a lot. He slowly sat down excitedly. He would have never thought that he would have the fortune of sitting together with Shi Tiandaren to drink wine. He doesn't know where to put his hand. Under the cloak, the corner of Huang Beiyu's mouth curved. At this moment, the waiter had returned with purple grape wine. She poured a cup for herself. The aroma of the rich purple grape wine seeps out, very intoxicating. Xueche looked at her. He was a little stunned. It seemed that not all experts drink expensive wine. Shi Tiandaren, one of the best experts in the world, only drinks purple grape wine. Even though purple grape wine is cheap, but using that transparent wine glass as well as it is in the hands of Shi Tiandaren, it gave Elude a feeling of nobility and elegance. It seemed as if she was holding a purple gem in her hand instead. The gaze in his eyes contained reverence towards her. However, Xueche looked ill at ease, turned his glass of wine. Huang Beiyu slightly took a sip of her wine. As she lifted her head, she saw Xueche staring at her. It seemed as if he wanted to say something, so she said, "Xuegongzi, do you have something to say?" Xueche blinked, promptly knelt down in front of her. "Shi Tiandaren, please take me as your disciple." Huang Beiyu, who was under the cloak, almost laughed out loud. "Xueche, would you kill yourself by banging your head against the pillar outside if you knew that the one you're begging right now is Huang Beiyu?" Using a hoarse voice, she responded, "I don't accept disciples." Xueche's face filled with despair. If he's not able to make Shi Tiandaren, this expert, as a master, then he, for his entire life, won't be able to compete against the Crown Prince Zhongyi. He hated that Zhongyi is protecting that Huang Beiyu. What he hated, even more, is that he is a crown prince, incomparably respected and set up high in a pedestal. He is also Nan Yi country's genius. When he's 16, he's already a 9-star summoner. Set up on high, not in touch with reality, aloof and remote. If he is stronger than Crown Prince John Yi, then his father's ambitious plan would be easily reached. In addition, he won't have any worries as he hacks that Huang Beiyu into thousands of pieces. But Shi Tiandaren also doesn't accept disciples. Huang Beiyu glanced at him, faintly said, I don't accept disciples. But I like to make friends. Xue Chei's eyes lit up. To become friends? Does Shi Tiandaren meant that they can become friends? Many thanks to Shi Tiandaren. Xue Chei was excessively happy that he unexpectedly bowed to her on the ground. Then he stood up and sat on his seat again. How does Shi Tiandaren have time to come here to drink? I came here to the market to look at some medicinal herbs. Huang Beiyu said lightly. Medicinal materials? Xue Chei became puzzled. Most summoners don't buy medicinal materials. They only go pill masters to buy pills. It can't be that Shi Tiandaren knows how to refine pills too? It can't be. The power of a 9-star summoner is already extremely scary. If she is also a pill master, doesn't that defy the natural order? So Xue Chei carefully asked, May I ask what kind of medicinal herbs that Shi Tiandaren is looking for? I might be able to help. No need. I already found the medicinal herbs. Later I'll go take a look around again to see if there's a better pill furnace. Huang Beiyu drank a sip of purple grape wine, her breath cold. As Xue Chei listened to her, her words immediately confirmed the thoughts in his heart. To frame and blame someone else. 8. As Xue Chei listened to her, her words immediately confirmed the thoughts in his heart. A refining furnace pot. Even though he couldn't confirm it when she said she's buying medicinal herbs. However, in this mainland, only one profession required a refining pot furnace. Shi Tiandaren, do you know how to refine pills? Xue Chei stammeringly asked. He was so shocked that his brain felt dizzy. Huang Beiyu nodded her head, in a low-key manner said, I know a little. Xue Chei swallowed his saliva, his gaze towards her became worship. It really is people angering people to death are. Other people have to walk 8 generations to become a summoner, but a pill master are. No one dares to even dream about it. This strength and talent make people envy are. This kind of talent, Angua Gong must pull her in. In the future, if they want to do big things, they would need to rely on these experts. The current Angua Gong's prefecture doesn't have a pill master. Even if it's a low-grade pill master in the mainland, it is very hard to find. If they have a pill master, their power will increase greatly. The profession of a pill master, in the Cart mainland, you can see but you can't request they are rare. And those pill masters alchemists are very low-key. They like to live in seclusion, both aloof from politics and material pursuits. Yet they are still very rich. No matter how others invite them, they won't come. Now that Xue Chei met one, he had secretly made up his mind. No matter, he needs to pull Shi Tiandaren to his side. Since Shi Tiandaren needs a refining pot, isn't that easy then? Their Angua Gong's prefecture, other things don't say but the treasure of their prefecture, the lotus flame furnace, to a pharmacist, it is extremely enticing. If you're looking for a refining pot, my Angua Gong's prefecture have a few good ones if Shi Tiandaren doesn't mind. How can I? The private possessions at your house, it would be bad for an outsider to see. Huang Beiyu said as her lip curved into a smile. What's the matter? In our prefecture, we don't have pharmacists. Those refining pots are just collected by my father. My father often said, no matter how precious it is, there needs to be someone to match it. Xue Chei said with reassurance. A drunken red face, swaying around, she doesn't know why but it's funny. Huang Beiyu put down her glass, said, Angua Gong is a really righteous person. I would really like to pay my respect to him. Xue Chei said with joy, I wouldn't dare. If Shi Tiandaren would like to visit our prefecture, my father would be really happy. Just as he finished speaking, Xue Chei's happy face suddenly became dark. Only, what happened? Huang Beiyu knew what was wrong but she still asked. Che punched the table with his fist. With hatred, he said, Huang Bei-yu. He snorted quietly as Huang Bei-yu raised her eyebrows. She sneered at him in her heart. Calling my name is of no use. Who told you to be unlucky and provoked me? The things that happened today in Lingyang College, I don't know if Shi Tiandaran had heard of. That Huang Bei-yu has a poisonous heart. She made my sister die tragically. My father is old and broken-hearted. Right now, he's sick in bed. I'm afraid that he can't personally entertain you. Huang Bei-yu coldly said, if she killed someone, isn't it natural that she pays with her own life? Che said with hatred, that is exactly Huang Bei-yu's crafty plan. She had planned to lead my sister up the arena. As a result, what is even more hateful is that the crown prince protected her. I can't take revenge. Huang Bei-yu already knew that Che would make things up as well as add oil and vinegar to the story in order to get sympathy. To frame and blame someone else. 9. Huang Bei-yu already knew that Che would make things up as well as add oil and vinegar to the story in order to get sympathy. Therefore she smiled slightly and said, to put bluntly, this Huang Bei-yu is really hateful. For me. This revenge, I'll remember it. I'll never let her get away with it. Che said with an ominous glint in his eyes. For a nobleman, even if the revenge takes 10 years, it's still not too late. Gongzi, it's best if you take your time to make your decision. To take one's time making a decision, to consider at length. When Che heard those words, he knew that Shi Tiandaran is on his side. His self-esteem immediately got satisfied. Cupping his hand, he said, Shi Tiandaran is highly principled. I admire people like you. Huang Bei-yu freely waved her hand. Shui Gongzi is overpraising. After talking a little more, Che already considered Shi Tiandaran as a confidant. He admires her strength a lot as well as her approachable personality. If they're an expert, there won't be any that aren't arrogant. Other 9-star summoners would simply feel that those lower-level summoners are beneath their dignity. They would never go drinking with a low-level summoner. For instance, that Crown Prince John Yi, he's proud and arrogant. He disdains everyone else. The two people sat in the liquor store for a while. Then Che took Huang Bei-yu to Anguagong's prefecture to see the Flame Lotus furnace. The two people walked out of Bujie market. Che ordered people to bring some horses. The two people rode the horse parallel to each other. Even though that Che is drunk, his mind is still a little clear. On their way to Anguagong's prefecture, Che introduced each and every street to her. Talking and laughing, the two of them made their way to the prefecture. When they walked up to the intersection, directly in front of them were a group of cavalry. The entire cavalry wore black armor. They also wore a black iron mask that covered their face with a long sword on their waist as they rode their black horses. The atmosphere around them is cold. The youngster in front of the group wore an exquisite black robe. His face is handsome but he is cold and unfeeling. The cavalry in black passed by, the pedestrian all one cleared out a path for them. Within this cavalry, they're all above silver rank experts. They're responsible for the safety of the imperial capital. They're in charge of protecting the emperor and the imperial capital. Che quietly snorted and urged his horse to let them pass. Huang Bei-yu lifted her head, she stared at the youngster in a black robe. That youngster had a constant cold expression on his face. His long and narrow eyes indifferently swept across her and then he glanced at Che. The famous Shi Tiandaran in the imperial capital is with Anguagong's eldest son together. It's impossible to not think about it. Anguagong's prefecture held a large amount of power. At the present, Anguagong has an ambitious heart. The emperor clearly knows this. Zhongyi only faintly glanced at him and then left. His heart must have already had some thoughts. It's only that this cold and indifferent teenager always hid his feelings. Even if he had some thoughts, he won't express it on his face. But it could also mean that he is respecting her decision. She is a free person. She doesn't belong to any power. Whichever group of people she joins, no one can control her. Everyone is their own master. Huang Bei-yu felt a slight headache, she wants to exploit Che. However, She doesn't want to make it seem like she had actually joined Angua Gong's prefecture even though it's fake. If a 9-star summoner joined Angua Gong's prefecture, their power would greatly increase. Those experts who are on the sidelines would most likely join too. She doesn't have such a good heart, helping them be a live advertisement and recruit experts for them. But at this moment, there are too many people. It would be too inconvenient to talk to Zhongyi. Therefore, Huang Beiyu indifferently urged her horse to go beside Xueche. When Xueche saw her moved next to him, don't even talk about how happy he was. He already saw this action as that Shi Tiandaren already agreed to join their Angua Gong's prefecture. To frame and blame someone else. 10. The Crown Prince Zhongyi was arrogant. In the name of genius, he couldn't tolerate anyone smarter than him. Seeing that the Black Cavalry had slowly gone away, Xueche had actually dared to say that. He needed to make the impression Shi Tian's impression of the Crown Prince ugly. That way Shi Tian would join them. Plus that Crown Prince Zhongyi really did not put anyone in his eyes. He's always arrogant and cold. Who would like him? Huang Beiyu listened quietly. She knew what Xueche thought and saw through his plan. She just didn't reject it is all. She didn't speak, which meant that she agreed. In Xueche's heart, he was very happy. Angua Gong's prefecture. The sudden death of the elder young miss led the entire Angua Gong Fu to be in a gloomy tone. Everyone knew that Angua Gong adored the eldest young miss, who had an extremely high talent in martial art. Xuemeng also knew how to please people. Angua Gong practically treated her like a pearl in his palm. Once Xuemeng had died, Angua Gong was so heartbroken to the extent where he became sick. The wife of Angua Gong had also been sick after being too angry. The eldest young master had gone out to drink in hopes to lessen the pain. In the entire Angua Gong Fu, only the housekeepers and a few young masters who helped to sort out business within the prefecture. The inner business of the prefecture was taken care of by the concubines. The only color in Angua Gong's prefecture was white. All the other colors were placed away. The first glance at it was dark and gloomy. The morning hall was set in the back hall so it didn't affect the front yard. The housekeeper who saw that Xueche who was back immediately walked up to him and exclaimed, "Eldest young master, you're back." Xueche raised his hand and responded, "I have important guests. If there's something, tell me later." As soon as he was done, he guided Huang Beiyu who wore a strange black cloak into the backyard. While walking, he talked to the housekeeper, "Where's father? Call father. Tell him that Shi Tiandaren is here." The housekeeper peered at Huang Beiyu and thought that the black cloak revealed a strange type of feeling he didn't understand. It led people to shiver. He didn't dare to look. He immediately left. Inside the study room of Angua Gong Fu, there were countless treasures. Each one beautiful and dazzling which made people speechless. All these treasures were placed in common and obvious places. It can be seen that Angua Gong was confident in the protection of the prefecture. Huang Beiyu wasn't interested in any of the treasures. She just peered around randomly and pretended to be looking at a painting. After a while, loud laughter had come out from the study room. Huang Beiyu placed her hands behind her back and turned around to see Angua Gong walked in. He walked in with that fat and chubby body which jiggled as he walked. When he laughed, the 5 sense organs were all squished together and couldn't be seen. His eyes had formed a crack. She wondered if he could see her. The arrival of Shi Tiandaren had brought light into our cold home. Huang Beiyu faintly smiled. Angua Gong's prefecture contains countless precious treasures. It's already shining with gold. How could it be considered as cold home? Her words were casual and easy, adding a sense of warmth which led Angua Gong, who had just lost his favorite daughter, to laugh again. Even though he lost his favorite daughter, he had many other daughters and sons. Knowing this, he isn't that sad. Now gaining the help of Shi Tiandaren is the most important task. Father, Shi Tiandaren is also a refining pharmacist. Xueche chuckled. Both father and son had laughed so brilliantly. This led Huang Beiyu to be a little suspicious of whether or not she had killed the wrong person on the arena. Could it happen to be that Xuemeng isn't the real daughter of Angua Gong? How come she couldn't see how sad he was? Oh! Angwa Gong's eyes that were squished together widened a bit. To frame and blame someone else. 11. Shi Tian Daren is very talented. You're flattering me. I just know a little bit. The modest Huang Beiyu replied. The refining pills in this era, she hadn't observed to the maximum extent yet. So she was saying the truth when she said she just knew a little bit. Angwa Gong just took this as a master trying to be modest. They had personally witnessed Shi Tian's strength, so they couldn't be wrong. The techniques of refining pills are really hard to understand. Even knowing just a little bit is very amazing. Both father and son exchanged a look. For many years they had been working together like villains, so they knew what to do next. Angwa Gong walked to a column of paintings, and it wasn't certain where he touched, but the wall which contained the paintings had separated into two and revealed a huge space. Xue Che lit a lantern and held it, leading the way. He said to Huang Beiyu, Shi Tian Daren, inside is where Angwa Gong's prefecture's precious medicine furnace is held. Please come in and take a look. Under the light of Huang Beiyu's cloak, she observed this secret door. That Angwa Gong is too fat. His huge body had blocked everything. Her figure was small, so she really wasn't able to see what move he did on the door. But it was enough since she knew where the door is. She followed behind Xue Che and walked in the door. In the beginning, the road was narrow, the terrain tilted downwards. After walking for a while, the road became wide and clear. The inside was probably hollowed out and built for the purpose of keeping treasures. Angwa Gong, father and son must be confident in their protection system to bring her down here. The fact that they dared to bring her in and wanted to please her. Inside the treasure room, the walls were all hollowed out into grids where the countless treasures were kept. In the middle of the white jade table, the light blue spirits slowly floated around. The white jade table had flowing water, and the shallow water emitted a little bit of golden light. Angwa Gong chuckled and turned around to one side of the wall and brought out a refining pot made from zijin. The refining pot was counted as one of the best. Zijin, itself, was a rare material to obtain. In the market, a small zijin rock could be sold up to the price of 10 million. This refining pot is called Purple Gold Furnace. It was made with 66 zijin rocks and it's rarely seen. This lord felt familiar with Shi Tian Daren from the first sight. Plus last time Daren had tamed the red spider for Che. This purple gold furnace is a gift from this lord to Shi Tian Daren. Purple gold furnace, that is a very costly refining pot. Made from 66 zijin rocks, just the materials the cost is already pricey. That doesn't even count the difficulty of refining this refining pot. This Angwa Gong is willing to part with his hard savings. This Daren will accept this costly present. This Daren will definitely repay Angwa Gong in the future. Huang Beiyu smiled faintly and took it over. She looked at it carefully and her hands itched. Using this refining pot to refine pills, it probably won't explode like last time. Yang, in her heart, suddenly exclaimed, this refining pot is pretty good. But compared to the Lotus Flame Furnace, this one isn't even worth it. Let's do this slowly. That Lotus Flame Furnace, I will definitely get. Angwa Gong, the father and son, saw that she easily accepted the purple gold furnace and sighed in relief in their hearts. You're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.